Well, there have been an enormous number of hugs exchanged in this ballpark tonight, from the elevator operators to the managers hugging one another on the field when they saw each other before the game today. It has been it's been a wellspring of emotion from the fans and the players alike. And there's the sentiment of Marlins owner Jeffrey Loria. And what a telling quote. The brightest lights are often the ones that extinguish the fastest. These fans have been doing a lot of cheering in the pregame today.
It's almost like they're imploring their team, the Marlins. We're behind you. We know it's tough, but we'll be here for the next 3 hours plus.
You can see that all the Marlins are wearing the same jersey tonight. They had to make a special order to get those jerseys here in time for the game. They got special permission from Major League Baseball to wear number 16. And the owner, Jeffrey Loria, said before the game that that number will never be worn again by a Marlin after today. Let's send it to the public address announcer at Marlins Park, Chad Robinson.
Nuestra comunidad, el mundo del béisbol y la familia de los Miami Marlins sufrió una trágica pérdida ayer con la muerte de José Fernández. Estamos reunidos aquí esta noche como una familia con nuestros corazones llenos de dolor para recordar un hombre y pelotero que significó tanto para todos nosotros. Lo mantendremos en nuestros corazones para siempre.
Our community, the baseball world, and the Miami Marlins suffered a tragic loss yesterday with the passing of Jose Fernandez. Our hearts are heavy with sorrow as we gather together tonight as a family to remember a man and a teammate who meant so much to all of us. We shall keep him in our hearts forever, and please bow your head and reflect with a moment of silence. Please remain standing and remove your caps as we honor our country with our colors and national anthem. Presenting the colors this evening is the Honor Guard from the Navy JROR2TC unit at G. Holmes Braddock Senior High School in Miami. And here to perform the Star-Spangled Banner for us this evening is the Carrollton Choir.
Not a dry eye in this house. Fans here at Marlins Park beginning to chant Jose, Jose. I don't know how they're going to do it, but the Miami Marlins are going to play a baseball game against the Mets tonight. I was especially struck by the poignancy of the national anthem, a song we hear every day. But for a young man who risked everything to be a part of this country, it rang especially true today.
You know, it's just so wild is that the ocean was his path to us, and that's what he used to get that great talent, that effervescent personality, the guy that could have been a transcendent kind of player in the sense that all of the old school stuff of what you are could have changed with him, who has just played like he was 12 years old still.
Well, it was just a beautiful ceremony. I'm just struck by the magnitude of the emotion out there from the players, particularly the Marlin players. You saw their expressions on their face and their eyes. It's tough. It's a tough day.
Hall of the Marlins, inscribing Jose Fernandez's initials and number into the mound. Carlos Stanton taking charge of his team.
Some pregame words for a unified Marlin team.
Words necessary to describe the way the Marlin players clearly felt about their teammate. One of the most beloved figures in all of baseball, but within that group, he was everything to them. And my question to you guys who played the game is, how in the world do you now play a baseball game after that?
You know, there's no template for it. I've always thought, and I said this when we were talking before the game, the only place death, divorce, awful things that can happen in your life, baseball players seem to find solace between the white lines. I think it's all garbage now when I just saw what went on. I don't know how the Marlins play, and I don't even know how the Mets are going to be able to find it to play between the lines tonight.
Well, Ronnie, I'm inclined to agree with you that, you know, you think you're tough enough and okay, let's go out, win one for the giver, so to speak. And I've got to question my judgment here. It's a very difficult game.
I mean, Martin Prado was sobbing 30 seconds ago. There are still tears coming out of his eyes as he stands in his position. From a Mets perspective, you know, in other circumstances, it would be easy to say reverence for the moment, you go through the motions. Yeah. But this game means everything to the Mets once the first pitch is thrown.
And like I said before, I thought that once the game starts, the Mets will be able to find their way. I'm not sure of that. I just think it's going to be a difficult 3 to 4 hours for these 60 players on each side, and there's no answer.
First pitch from Adam Conley's in for a strike to Jose Reyes, and we're underway. And a ground ball right back to Conley, and he makes the play on Reyes for the first out.
Well, I'm not going to talk about his numbers. Adam Conley has had a very successful rookie year. I don't know what's going through this young man's head as he takes the mound, and where Jose Fernandez was supposed to stand tonight, he stands, and the first play of the game is the comebacker to the mound.
Also, keep in mind that Adam Conley and Jose Fernandez came up through the Marlins farm system together. They were teammates in low A ball a few years ago. As Dribble Cabrera rolls one through the right side, and the Mets have a base runner. So Cabrera continues his hot hitting. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup. Jay Bruce showing signs of life the last 2 days back in there. Eric Campbell gets the start against the left-hander. Barry Collins feeling neither of his left-hand batting first basemen were the right guy to go to today. TJ Rivera stays in there playing second base and batting fifth. So 1 out and 1 on, and now Cespedes Jose Fernandez's countryman, who hung the number 16 Mets jersey in honor of Fernandez yesterday at Citi Field and again tonight in the Mets dugout at Marlins Park. And he takes a strike.
You know, what's interesting, they didn't particularly know each other that well, but Cespedes, the most distraught of all the Mets prior to the game.
And you could sense the level of respect he had for Fernandez, even though they were not good friends. And he pops one up on the right side. Justin Bour retreating and puts it away for the second out. So the Mets are going up there hacking against Adam Conley, and I don't know if that has to do with the emotion of the moment or a game plan or what. Mets have not had much success in the past against this pitcher.
I'll tell you right now, whatever game plan they talked about before the game, there's not one person coming up to the plate who remembers what was talked about 2 hours ago.
So here's Curtis Granderson, who hit his 30th home run of the year in yesterday's game. Became the first player ever to have 30-plus home run seasons for 2 different New York teams. Of course, he had a couple of 40 home run seasons for the Yankees, and now 30 this year for the Mets. And he goes after the slider from Conley, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, he had 84 home runs in 2 consecutive years with the Yankees. Conley, to me, a few folks who watch a lot of baseball, is Chris Sale light at this point in his career.
Foul down the left side. Well, remember, for Conley, this is his first start since August the 13th. He had been on the disabled list the last 7 weeks with tendonitis in his left middle finger, a finger he originally hurt smashing it on the dugout roof at Wrigley Field. Didn't tell anybody about it for a couple of starts, struggled, and then went on the DL. That's pulled down at first, a foul ball.
You know, it happens more often than you think. Young players are embarrassed to tell the real story of what happened, how they hurt themselves, so they keep it quiet until they're not effective.
TJ Rivera would be next. Cabrera at first and 2 out. A 2-strike count to Granderson. And Curtis fouls off another one. Mets have faced Conley twice this year. Back in April in New York, he shut the Mets out for 6 innings. In July here in Miami, allowed 2 runs in 6 innings. His lifetime ERA against the Mets is 1.27. So this has not been an easy mark for New York. Granderson hits one the other way. In comes Ozuna, and he's got it to end the inning. So a hit and 1 left. The Marlins will come to bat against Bartolo Colon with no score. Marlins, who have been struggling offensively over the last few weeks. They had their game canceled yesterday.
Bartolo Colon's numbers, Land Rover numbers, 14 wins for Bartolo. Pitched excellent his last start.
Well, D. Gordon just took the first pitch as a right-hand batter. D. Gordon's a left-hand hitter. And in tribute to Jose Fernandez, who was a right-hand hitter and a very good hitting pitcher, he took the first pitch of the game as a right-hand batter. And now back to work. And Colon misses high, and it's 2-0. Gordon, just over the last few days, has started to look more like himself. Remember, he was suspended for the first half of the season for PED use and had really struggled. He cracks one to deep right field. Back goes Bruce to the track, looks up, and that ball is out of here into the second deck. The first home run of the season for D. Gordon. I don't care who you are, who you root for, or how badly you want the Mets to be in the postseason. That was phenomenal. One nothing Miami. And Marcell Ozuna grounds one foul. That was like something out of a storybook.
There was no celebration in that home run. Tearful. Oh, gosh.
Fourth time in his career, Gordon's led off a game with a home run. And now Colon needs to get down to business as he faces Marcell Ozuna.
He just lost the Field of Dreams author. He couldn't have written it any better.
That's lined, and a great grab by Cabrera for the first out.
Well, it's a fastball from Colon, belt high down the middle, and I don't think D. Gordon ever expected this.
His 304th at bat of the season, his first home run, and it could not have been more poignant. Now Martin Prado, and he takes a strike. Fouls it off. Prado having a fine year, but like many of these Marlins, been struggling lately. Colon still trying to find his bearings, and it's in the air to shallow right, and Bruce comes in to get it, and there are two out.
D. Gordon to stand in that right-handed batter's box for the first pitch and channel his good friend Fernandez, who you said a good hitting pitcher, Gary. He loved to hit home runs. That's what he wanted to do when he got to the plate, and for Gordon to deliver.
You know, I thought for a moment after Gordon hit the home run that it might return a sense of normalcy to the game. It's just the opposite.
Just the opposite.
Here's Christian Yelich. Yelich having his best season, but again struggling lately. 197 over his last 21 games. Past Colon, but right there is Cabrera to sweep up, and that retires the side. But D. Gordon's emotional home run puts the Marlins in front early. Where do we go from here? 1-0 Miami after 1. TJ Rivera leads off the second inning with the Mets now down 1-0. TJ hitting 5th in the order, hitting .442 over his last 11 games. 2 more hits yesterday, and he pops one foul off the right side. 1-1.
361 since his call up and 83 at bats. He's driven in 14 runs, hit 3 home runs, won a ball game in Washington with one of those home runs. He's been terrific.
Jay Bruce on deck, then Travis d'Arnaud in the second, and Rivera pops this one up in a shallow right. Gordon goes out to get it. 1 out.
And we'll take a look at the Marlin defense, brought to you by Coors Light. The left field Gold Glover 2014 Gold Glover Christian Yelich in center field. That is a terrific arms out there. 3 great arms. Tremendous up the middle combination there in Hechavarria and D. Gordon and Real Muto, who's had a terrific year, breakout year for Real Muto behind the plate.
Jay Bruce, signs of life the last 2 days. Pinch hit home run Saturday, 2 hits including a double yesterday, but quickly down in the count against Conley. 0-2.
Keith, I feel like he's moved up on the plate a little bit. I could be wrong.
He crashes one to right center field. Stanton over in the gap and runs it down. Hits the ground hard, hangs onto the ball. 2 out.
He can go get him. And he makes a terrific play, and that is a big body falling on the ground there. And
so 2 out and nobody on. Now Travis d'Arnaud. Travis loves hitting in this ballpark. 12 games here. He's a lifetime .372 hitter at Marlins Park. Grounds that one to the left side. Easy play for Prado, and an easy inning for Adam Conley. Gets the Mets out on just 8 pitches. Middle of the second, 1-0 Miami. Giancarlo Stanton leads off the bottom of the second for the Marlins against Bartolo Colon. And he crashes a base hit through the middle. And Stanton, the unquestioned leader of this team, who grouped his club around him next to the mound after the pregame ceremonies honoring his fallen teammate, now has made a fine catch and a hard hit base hit.
Colon was trying to go in, left the ball out over the plate. Just early on here, an observation. Keep it brief. Colon doesn't have a lot on the ball yet.
No, he hasn't got any zip on it at all. Agreed.
Colon pitching on his regular day after going 6 2/3 against Atlanta last Wednesday. And Justin Bour takes a strike. Bour missed 2 months with an ankle injury. This is his 17th game since coming back, and he has yet to hit his stride. He's hitting .146, no homers, 2 RBIs in 16 games since his return. He was in the situation that Lucas Duda was in. By the time he was ready to play, there were no minor league rehab games to play in, so he's had to start cold, and so far he's stayed cold.
Well, Bour has a lot of promise. Big monster up there.
Little dribbler that'll go foul. Would have put a big crimp in the Marlins season when he went down for such a long time. They were a contender and then slowly slipped out of contender status in his absence.
The Lexus Met defense. O.J. Bruce. Terry mentioned that he would be in the lineup on the road. He is in right field. Eric Campbell, a surprise start at first base. Rivera at second. The whole right side of the infield from Vegas. d'Arnaud behind the plate.
Oh, 2 to Bour with JT Realmuto on deck. And Bour drives one of the gap in left center field, headed back toward the wall, and it's off the fence. Stanton digs for third. He is going to stop there.
Wow.
A very ambiguous signal by the third base coach Lenny Harris. Couldn't tell whether he was holding or rescinding him, but in any event, Bour with a big time double to left center to put runners at second and third.
Well, big strong guy. This is a bullet. This is a very big ballpark here. And this is a line drive off the wall. Opposite field. That is strength. Now Stanton shouldn't be. He got a bad read on it. And doesn't seem to really be busting here.
Remember,
and he's got the bad leg.
Yeah, he's coming off an injury, so they've been telling him to run, half speed.
The groin injury that kept him on the sidelines for a month. So Colon in big trouble here in the second. Second and third, nobody out. JT Realmuto takes up and away for ball one. Realmuto hitting .308 for the year, top 10 in the league in hitting. That's of the infield back. They'll concede a run on a ground ball. Already down 1-0 in the second.
Stan trying to get some oxygen, some air.
I think he's just taking emotional deep breaths.
Yep.
Breaking ball hit to short. That'll get a run in. Cabrera with a tough play. Realmuto with good speed beats it out for an infield hit as Stanton scores to make it 2-0 Miami.
Keith, that's the one thing about Realmuto. He's got real speed.
Yes, and Bour did not do a good job. You can come down the bag as a lead runner on second, and then you'll see the speed of Realmuto, the catcher, out of the line of John Stearns, the former New York Met, who had a lot of speed.
And the kid we saw over the weekend with the Phillies, Jorge Alfaro, who could really get down the line.
But Bour's got to be on third base there. You come down the line, and when you get the throw, you're on your horse. You can don't even get it out of third gear. I don't care how slow you are.
So 3 straight hits against Colon to start this second inning. After the leadoff home run by Gordon in the first, here's Echeverria, first and second, nobody out. And that's driven out to right center field. Chasing Granderson back. It's over his head. Gore will score. Real Muto right behind him. He'll score as well. Did the ball bounce over the fence? It did. So it's a ground rule double, and Real Muto will have to go back to third. So it's 3-0 Miami, and Real Muto will be sent back to third base. And Colon is getting thrashed in these first 2 innings.
There's not a soft out or here or a soft liner. These are all balls driven into gaps.
There isn't another pitcher on Mets starting roster who you can tell right away has it or doesn't have it more than Bartolo Colon.
Well, to that end, I'm a little surprised there's no warm-up action in the Mets bullpen because Terry Collins has been showing very little patience lately. That's going to bring the infield in now with the pitcher Conley up, second and third and nobody out. Conley has 5 hits this year. And he bunts it toward third. Safety squeeze. Reyes is going to have to go to first. The run will score. Campbell makes the tag. Creeping down the line from third is Echeverria, but he'll go back. So a safety squeeze bunt by Conley brings in a run, and it's 4-0 Miami. And it is the Marlins who are channeling their emotions in a positive direction.
Just creeped down behind Jose, and no, he got in front of him there. So interesting. Jose could have gone home, but it was a safety squeeze.
3 runs home in the inning. Infield in. D. Gordon hits one past the mound and into center field, and that'll bring in another run. Echeverria scores the 4th run of the inning, and it's 5-0 Miami.
Got to get that bullpen cranking.
Yeah. I'm a little shocked that there hasn't been anybody up yet.
I mean, you could see it right away.
They're going to the phone now.
Yeah, you could see it right away, Keith. Both of you and I talked about it. You could see it right away. It just doesn't have it.
Gabriel Noah just now grabbing his glove as Marcelo Zuna steps in. Gordon has been stealing bases lately. He's had 2-3 stolen base games in the last week. Last year's National League stolen base champ. Now has 26 for the year. And that one gets away. Unfortunately for the Mets, it hits the first base umpire.
I've never seen that happen.
Vic Carapazza was in the way. Otherwise, Gordon would be on second base and maybe third.
Oh, he can't be in the line of fire there. I've never seen that.
Perry Hill's on him too.
Yes.
Get out of the way.
Like, get the heck out of the way. Don't be in the line of fire. That's embarrassing.
That's the first positive thing that's happened for the Mets in this game. Colon's throwing 84-mile-an-hour fastballs right now.
He's the easiest guy to spot when he's off.
Ozuna lined out to short. A fine play by Cabrera his first time up. 5 hits in the inning. 4 runs have scored. And the more throws to first Colon makes to keep an eye on Gordon, the more time it gives Gabriel Noah to get himself loose. In the air to right toward the line. Long run for Bruce, but he'll get there. Into foul territory to make the catch for the second out.
Well, the Mets have on top of the wild card heap, a 1-game lead over San Francisco and a 1.5 on the Cardinals. So I don't have to tell you Met fans with its remaining 6 the importance of these games.
Surprised that Worthington hasn't gone out there though to give another precious 30 seconds.
Martin Prado steps in. Prado flied out to right his first time up. Gordon at first and 2 out. Every chance he'll be trying to steal a base. And And Prado lines one right to Cabrera to end the inning. So the bullets continue against Bartolo Colon. He gives up a 4 spot in the second inning after 2, 5-0 Miami. Eric Campbell takes a strike as we start the third inning. Campbell getting the start at first base today. 3 for 7 with 4 RBIs since his September recall. Getting rewarded with a start against the lefty. His second start since returning. Two and 1 to Campbell. Colon on deck. And then Jose Reyes. I thought perhaps Terry Collins might bat for Colon here in the third.
I thought so also.
20 strikes and 3 balls so far for Mr. Conley, who's come out with some purpose.
He's channeling his old friend, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Handles another comebacker. And Campbell retired one away. Let's go downstairs and check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, obviously just such a surreal night, and if you want to find some of the most raw emotion in the park, it's right where I'm standing right now. This section out here in left field is called Jose's Heroes. You see in front of me 16 Ks hung up on the wall. It's a season ticket package that the Marlins do, where you go up to all 81 games, but each homestand you get a new Jose Fernandez shirt. And just the last homestand, Jose Fernandez came and met all of these people. Again, like I said, so much emotion in the crowd. I had one person come up to me when he was talking about Jose Fernandez and said, he's still here with us right now. He's never going to leave us. So, you know, that's the type of stuff you're seeing at the park right now.
I'm not sure that I've ever been in a ballpark with an atmosphere like this.
I haven't, Gare. I don't think you have either. This is totally a new frontier here. It's just
it's such a strange thing to sit in the booth. I mean, I have this feeling welling over me that just let Dan Barr, Greg Picker, our director producer, just shoot the shots. I don't know what to say.
Well, there are more people in this ballpark than we've seen maybe since we've been coming here, since this ballpark opened 4 years ago. And I don't know what the crowd would have been like under other circumstances, but people clearly came here to pay tribute, to laugh, to cry, to cheer.
What I noticed is that the bleachers in right center field, where D. Gordon hit his home run, they never have people there. Those are like the ordinary folks who have come out tonight.
Three and two to Reyes with 2 out, and Jose hits another tapper. Conley has trouble picking it up, and he airmails it down the line. Reyes will go to second as Stanton plays it off the sidewall, and Reyes is on second with 2 out. It'll be an infield single for Reyes, an error on Conley, allowing him to get to second base.
No, ill-advised throw by Conley.
Well, Conley didn't read the ball very well off the bat. It had a lot of spin, so it checked up on him. So he didn't charge it. He kind of waited for it to come to him. And by that time, Reyes' speed made the play impossible.
So now 2 out, Reyes at second, and here's Cabrera, who had a base hit his first time up. Struble came into the night hitting .315 as a right-hand batter. He takes low and in from Conley. Knocked down by Real Muto, 2-0. Adam Conley, 26 years old, second round draft pick in 2011 out of Washington State. Made his debut with the Marlins last year and has been arguably, outside of Jose Fernandez, their top pitcher this year. And now with Jose Fernandez gone, his friend Adam Conley is trying to step into his legacy.
Sure, he'll have a long career. He'll never pitch a more important game in the regular season than tonight.
Here's a strike, 3-1 to Cabrera. Really a lot on his shoulders, isn't it?
Tremendous.
Three and 1 to Cabrera with Cespedes on deck, and as Struble draws the walk. So the Mets have 2 men on, and Cespedes coming up, and a chance to get right back in this game. First walk given up by Conley, who has had a tendency to get into wildness fits. He's averaged 4.2 walks per 9 innings this year. And Juan Nieves, the Marlins pitching coach, is going to go out to the mound to talk to him.
Yeah, not only the 4.21 walks, Gary, he averages 8.5 hits per game. That's a lot of base runners. I don't pay attention to strikeouts per 9 innings anymore. Too many strikeouts in today's game.
Unforgettable games, undeniable greatness, and unstoppable drama. The 2016 postseason begins October 4th. For more information, go to Mets.com/postseason. So with Reyes at second, Cabrera at first, and 2 down, Cespedes will step in.
.354 against left-handers this year with 6 home runs.
Popped up his first time up tonight, and takes a slider at his feet for ball 1.
Again, though, the Mets lineup more complete if Wilmer Flores was available, as Nick Whitgren gets loose for the Marlins.
Yeah, Conley is reaching his pitch limit. They figured 3 innings, 45 pitches for him, and here he is right about at that point. And that's driven down the line by Cespedes, but it hooks and goes foul.
Well, I don't think we're going to see any more Wilmer Flores this year.
The wild card standings coming into the night, brought to you by Empire City Casino. The Giants are off tonight. They host the Rockies tomorrow. The Cardinals are home against Cincinnati tonight to start a 4-game series. That starts in about 20 minutes. 2-1 to Cespedes. So the Mets will end the night in the #1 wild card spot, regardless of what happens. And Cespedes takes a rip. 2-2.
Looked like a breaking ball down and in there from Conley.
2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Cespedes. Pulls one foul into the Marlins dugout. Curtis Granderson would be next. Conley's first start in 7 weeks. Trying to keep the Mets off the board in the 3rd. On the inside corner, he got Cespedes looking, and NYN is not happy with John Hirschbeck. That retires the side. That probably finishes Conley's tenure in this game. He finishes it with strikeout. It's 5-0 Miami in the 3rd. His last start was against the Washington Nationals last Tuesday, and he's never been more dominant. Struck out 12, didn't walk a batter in 8 scoreless innings. He was at the top of his game. Who would have ever thought it would be the last time he would take a major league mound?
It's a damn shame.
Christian Yelich leading off in the home 3rd inning. Grounded out to short his first time up. Bonds putting kisses all over Jose Fernandez after that last performance.
Barry has been relatively silent. He's not had much to say. I think he's deeply grieving.
But you saw that Barry was the first one to get out there and hug D. Gordon when D came in after hitting that incredibly emotional home run. Two coming to Yelich, and he fouls it off.
You know, our world has become so much more snarkier and jaded that we don't even hear about this term as much anymore, but he was living the American dream, wasn't he?
Yelich having himself a fine year. 95 runs scored. Even though he's tapered off here at the end a little bit, he's got a shot for 100.
He gets it right through the wickets on Cologne, and he's aboard with an infield hit. Bart got a piece of it, but not enough of it, and everything is off in Cologne's game tonight, even his fielding.
Yeah, well, every ball is hit on the nose. That's why. Hard to get down there in time when everything is squared up. got him right on the right calf.
You know, the Mets were fortunate yesterday that they got 7 terrific innings out of Robert Gsellman, so that the bullpen is a little more rested tonight, which makes it that much more puzzling why Bartolo Colon is still in this game.
Collins is coming to the top step, almost like he's going to check to see if Colon is healthy or not.
There's no action in the Mets bullpen. Noah was up in the last inning, but Colon was allowed to bat in the top of the 3rd.
But if you took a pitcher out because he's hurt,
right,
he would have as many pitches as he wanted.
Here's Giancarlo Stanton, who had a hard single through the middle his first time up. Well, this is from Giancarlo Stanton. Still waiting to wake up from this nightmare. I lost my brother today and I can't quite comprehend it. The shock is overwhelming. I can't fathom what his family is going through, because we, as his extended family, are a wreck. Meanwhile, there is concern about Bartolo Colon. There's been some question about Bartolo's foot in recent days. It wasn't enough of a concern for him to even consider missing a start, but they've had to wrap that foot a little bit. I don't know if that's what Terry's coming out to check on.
He just pointed to his calf. He said he caught the ball on the 2-hopper off his right calf, inside of his right calf. He said he's fine.
One to Stanton, who had a base hit and scored a run in the 2nd inning. And slider off the plate, 1-1. Well, Adam Conley, his first start coming off the disabled list. A very emotional moment for him as he gets hugs and congratulations from his teammates. It's like he's done after 3 scoreless innings. Stanton takes a strike and it's 1-2.
You know, this is going to be entire lifetime of grieving, but the immediacy is this week is going to be so difficult on these Marlins. As a team, they visited Jose's family yesterday.
Let's visit his grandmother, who's been such an enormous part of Jose's life. They were separated for the several years after Jose defected with his mom. His grandmother didn't get to come to this country till 2 years ago, after 7 years apart. One-two coming to Stanton, and it's off the plate, 2-2. I'm wondering from a grieving perspective, and maybe none of us knows the answer to this, is a better thing or a worse thing for the Marlins and their collective psyche that there's a week left to go in the season? Would it be different if this were earlier in the year and they had more time left together before they go their separate ways at the end of the year?
I was thinking how difficult this would have been if they had played a little better in September and August, and if they were in the middle of it. Can you imagine?
Well, they're still alive mathematically, but only barely coming into the final week. Yelich at first and nobody out. 3-2 to Stanton. And he drives that one to center field. Granderson comes in, slides, and makes the catch. Nice play by Curtis, as that ball was hit so hard it stayed up for him for the first out.
Keith, have you ever seen Bartolo hit this hard?
No.
No, I mean,
and he's very fortunate. Some of these balls are hit right at people.
Atom balls.
The only one I can remember was that start. Remember in Anaheim, his first year with the Mets?
4 home runs he gave up in that game.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Justin Bour, who drove one off the fence in left center for a double his first time up. He takes a strike.
So Bohr in 2015 was 14 for 40. That's a 350 average with 4 home runs and 11 RBI. Batting .321 this year. So yes, he does hit well against the Mets.
Mike Dunn is up in the Marlins bullpen getting ready to pitch the 4th inning after Conley's pitch count arrived. Change up from Cologne. Ball and a strike to Bohr. Justin Bohr last year 23 home runs, 73 driven in. Injury interrupted this year.
You know, at home you're saying, well, what do you think's wrong with Cologne? There's a phrase that we use in pitching that you don't get off your backside, which means that he's not really pushing off well. He's not finishing his pitches. That's why he doesn't have a lot of life when they get to the plate.
Another change up, and it's fouled off by Bohr.
That'll tell you right there what he thinks of his stuff when he goes back-to-back changeup.
Bartolo has been at his best for a long, consistent streak while everything else was falling down in shambles around him in the rotation. Last 10 starts, 5-1, 2.26, but not tonight. Tried that 2-seamer, but it didn't get the plate. 2-2.
No emotion from Bartolo. There's his motion running.
Just a little slide step. But once he digs that front foot into the ground, see how the back foot is just lagging, kind of just it's not pushing through. It should get through a lot quicker and get himself into better fielding position. It's a little lazy tonight.
Or pops one foul. Again, the 2-2, and that one misses the inside corner. So twice he tried that signature 2-seamer to the left-hand batter and not gotten it.
Not getting the call. That seems to be bending around the plate, or at least home plate umpire John Hirschbeck thinks so. Bartolo saying, "Hey, you punched out my left fielder Cespedes on an up and in fastball. Give me that call."
3-2 and 1 out. Yelich at first. He's running, and Bohr hits one out of sight to right field. Forget that. That's a long, long way. But it goes foul. That just hooked off at the last moment.
That gets Don Mattingly to the top step, and one of his bench coach on the phone.
Vic Carapazza, the first base umpire, on that soaring drive right down the line, called it foul.
And he is correct.
And it was. Hit the back wall. That might have been what confused Donnie when he saw it hit that green back fence, you know, 50 feet beyond the foul pole.
Yeah.
Might have thought that it hit the pole.
Well, a lot of times we've seen some of these foul poles, and it's even in Citi Field. They're not as tall as they used to be. So sometimes you feel like the ball goes over it.
Come on, guys, make a Custer decision here. Stick to your guns.
They just want to make sure that Carapazza had the belief in his call, and if there's any question, they'll go to replay, and that's a crew chief review if they do, but there's not going to be any.
Yeah, let's go.
Because clearly it was the right call.
I mean, it's not like the super chicken out there with the eye chart for the umpires.
I just don't know what a second base or a third base umpire can contribute to that conversation on the ball hit down the right field line.
It's a group hug kind of thing. They all want to be involved.
I mean, there's only two umpires really that have the best angle. It's home plate and first base.
So Cologne survives that one. And go back to work against Bohr. Yelich was running on the first 3-2 pitch. He's running again, and Bohr hits another line drive. Bruce can't get it. It goes by him to the wall, and that'll get Yelich all the way home. Bohr digging for second, takes the turn and heads for third. And he'll make it safely with a head-first slide. A triple for Justin Bohr, which is the last thing anybody expected to see when they came to the ballpark tonight.
Well, Yelich never hesitated. He thought it was in. He would have been doubled up. But his judgment was sound, and he can just gear it down. And Bohr, let me tell you, this train right here is laden with material. He's chugging.
It's the first career triple for Bohr, and he punctuated it with the swan dive. He knew exactly what he was doing there. Well, the night has come to an end for Bartolo Colon, who just did not have it tonight. On a night of great emotion for the Marlins, they really put a hurt on Bartolo. Call to the bullpen is brought to you by Verizon. Live out your Mets fantasy this January. Suit up with Mets legends and take the field at Mets Fantasy Camp in Port St. Lucie, presented by Hospital for Special Surgery. For more information, visit Mets.com/fantasy camp or call 718-559-3035 today. Gabriel Ynoa, who made a start last time through the rotation, on in relief tonight.
Yeah, pressed into service. Ynoa is one of those pitchers in the bullpen that they're going to be called in when you have games like this.
JT Realmuto fouls one back, and it's 0-2. Realmuto had an infield hit to drive in a run in the second. That's bringing the infield in, already down 6-0 in this game, with Justin Bohr fresh off his first big league triple at third base and 1 out. It was a rough night from the start for Bartolo Colon. Worst start he's had in a long time. He went 2 1/3 innings, allowed 8 hits, 6 runs so far, no walks, 1 strikeout, a home run, and a lot of line drives.
So Bohr, his first triple of his career. D. Gordon's first home run of the year.
One, 2 from Ynoa, and it's grounded right at Cabrera. The runner has to hold, and that's the second out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by the Lexus NX Turbo and Hybrid. Go beyond utility. By Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By the Better Network, Verizon. Better matters. By the all-new 2017 Hyundai Elantra, it's not just new, it's better. And by Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. 2 out of Danny Echeverria, the batter. You're going to get a pinch hitter behind him, so you can't just walk him intentionally. And Echeverria takes ball 1. Slider in for a strike to Echeverria, 1-1. Ynoa pitched against the Phillies on Friday night, went 2 innings, allowed 2 runs, 5 hits. That's wound up coming back and winning that game 10-5. That's poked into center field, and that's going to fall for a base hit. Echeverria drives in his 2nd run of the night as Bohr comes home, and it's 7-0 Miami.
Even the soft ones find a hole here. A soft liner.
So the book is now closed on Colon. He gives up 7 runs and 8 hits over 2 1/3 innings. Help me out here. Is this Destin Hood?
I think it is.
Oh. Marlins players, of course, are wearing Jose Fernandez's number 16 tonight, and with the expanded rosters, well, we're not up on all the facial recognition.
We are challenged. You are challenged.
Oh, well, you're right with me here.
No, it's your call, not mine.
Oh, jeez.
You could help me out, you know. Hood is at 14 at bats. He's 3 for 14, and Ynoa gets a check swing strike, and it's 1-1.
Marlins have 5 singles, 2 doubles, triple, and a home run. Win the 3rd.
Well, the Mets found themselves down 10-0 the other night and battled their way back to 10-8. I suppose they have another one of those comebacks in them tonight, do you? Hood takes it low and away. So in this one start, Colon's earned run average goes up from 3.12 to 3.42.
Oh,
that doesn't happen very often this time of year. 7 runs in 2 1/3 innings. And Hood takes a sinker low and in, 3-1.
This late in the year, when you have a 3.12, all you're thinking about as a pitcher, finish strong, and maybe I can get this ERA under 3. It's a high rent district when you have that.
Yeah, well, not to be for Cologne. '26-year-old Destin Hood at the plate, and he grounds one foul, 3-2. Road ahead presented by GMC. Let's have these 3 in Miami, then 3 in Philly. The Giants are off tonight, then host the Rockies and the Dodgers. The Cardinals starting a 4-game series at home tonight against the Reds. By the way, if you've not already heard, Saturday's game in Philadelphia has been moved from a night game to a 1 o'clock game, and it'll now be on national TV. 3-2 coming, and it's fouled away.
Interesting. When we showed those remaining games, St. Louis Cardinals are going to have to get past how they've played at home all season long. They have not been good.
But as I said to Keith the other day, even though they haven't played well at home, wouldn't they rather be at home?
Of course they would. And 4 against Cincinnati, even better.
And they missed Brandon Finnegan, who pitched great yesterday for the Reds.
And the Reds have played better since that atrocious effort they had against the Mets in that series in Cincinnati. They've been winning ball games.
3-2 to Hood, and he takes a weak cut and strikes out to end the inning. So Noah gives up a run scoring hit, gets a couple of outs, but the Mets with a lot of work to do, down 7-0 after 3. '17 Audi A4 in your tri-state Audi dealers. We're going to the 4th inning. The Mets down 7-0. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, one of the things I heard about Jose Fernandez today, someone said he never met a stranger, which I thought was a beautiful way to put it in terms of how personable he was to so many people. And unlike most athletes, he was able to form a real connection with individual fans, including the fan who's sitting right in front of me. They call him Dancing Tony here at Marlins Park. He's an elderly man who gets up and dances in between innings. And Jose Fernandez loved it so much that he used to actually come out before games, go down into the left field warning track and do the dances that Dancing Tony would do in game, and then he would move Tony. He would point him to a direction of the ballpark where there was nobody there and would throw him a baseball just to make sure that he caught it.
Heard so many of these stories over the last 36 hours about Jose Fernandez and the connections he's made.
There's Mike Dunn, the left-hander. The Mets seem to always have to hit against Mike Dunn if you're playing against the Marlins.
Yes. How many times has he been the only left-hander out in that bullpen?
Started with the Yankees, went over to the Braves, throws extremely hard. Good slider, good stuff, but the Mets seem to always hit him pretty hard.
49th appearance of the year for Dunn. Curtis Granderson flying to left his first time up. And he strikes out on the fastball for the first out. So both team starters now out of the game. Conley went 3 innings, allowed no runs, 2 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts in his first start back from the disabled list, necessitating his early exit. Colon got thrashed around over his 2 1/3, necessitating his exit. Now T.J. Rivera, who popped up his first time up. And Dunn finds the corner, 0-1. And so today's starters brought to you by People's United Bank. 2 very different experiences for the veteran Colon and the young Mr. Conley.
Put the innings together, you still don't have a good start.
And Dunn, as Conley did early in this game, just coming out throwing strikes. This is a Mets team that put 17 runs on the board yesterday, matching the most runs they had ever scored in a home game.
I mean, it has the feeling, folks, and things can change in a heartbeat. Like, the Marlins are just not going to be denied tonight. You know, who knows what's going to happen the rest of the week, but they're not going to be denied tonight.
And Rivera strikes out on the high fastball. Back-to-back strikeouts for Dunn. 2 out.
Chase the high one up the ladder. So, Ronnie, it could be divine intervention.
Yeah.
There's Jay Bruce, who lined out to right his first time up. A nice catch by Stanton. Well, there's another way of looking at it, too. You know, if you remember the first game back in New York after 9/11, which Piazza famously won with a home run, you heard a lot of the Braves players saying afterward, you know what? We don't mind so much that the Mets won the game.
Yeah.
This is a different circumstance, though, with the Mets in the middle of a pennant race. They can't really afford to be that magnanimous.
Not so much in the middle, in the back end, Gary.
Moore handles the hop to retire Bruce, and Dunn comes in and fashions a 1-2-3 inning. Middle of the 4th, 7-0 Miami. One of the tributes to him.
It's like a candlelight vigil.
Quote from David Sampson, the Marlins president. The story is representative of a story of hope and love and faith, and no one will ever let that story die.
You know, Gary, I think this is a serious setback for the Marlins too. I just don't know how they're going to bounce back from the loss of Jose Fernandez.
You're talking like
from a baseball standpoint.
Yeah. Baseball perspective, and just to lose someone that was so representative of the city. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Laying out is Rivera, but too late to get Gordon, who has his 3rd hit of the night.
Nice play by TJ, just on his back, rolling over, can't get enough to nail the speedy
D. Gordon. TJ was shaded a bit up the middle on D. Gordon, so had to go a long way to get to that ball.
Well, from a baseball perspective, I don't know how you ever replace a pitcher the caliber of a Jose Fernandez. I mean, the guy is simply one of the most dominant, was one of the most dominant pitchers in all of baseball.
His record at home, no one's ever done that at his age. That is incredible.
At any age.
Correct.
Up the middle, a base hit for Ozuna. So the Marlins with back-to-back hits to start this fourth inning.
I mean, you look at Jose Fernandez here, and the Marlins just keep on swinging the bat. He stays healthy at his age. He's the heir apparent. He's the next Kershaw. He's the next greatest pitcher in the game.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get injured. I mean, he had that kind of dominant stuff. And what he did with the community, mingling with this largely Cuban population here in Miami. I mean, for an organization, you couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, it is a body blow to this organization.
Well, that's something they're going to have to start to come to terms with once the season is over, once the emotions of the immediacy of the moment are past. Prado takes a strike. I don't know that anybody involved with the Marlins is thinking quite that way just yet.
No, that'll be something down the road. But Keith's right. Severe body blow when you lose a cornerstone piece. They gave all the money to Stanton. Fernandez was the most important player.
Without question. And when they lost him to Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago, you could tell there was a void with this Marlins team. Good breaking ball by Ynoa, 1-2. And when he came back from Tommy John surgery last year and was able to perform at the same level, it was an enormous sense of relief. Prado's 0 for 2 tonight. And Ynoa buries the sinker, 2-2.
You know, this winter they spent a lot of money on Wei-Yin Chen. They thought they had kind of stabilized their starting rotation, but it was Fernandez and Conley. Conley on limited duty were the only two that really delivered.
Ryan Ellington, the next man up in the Marlins bullpen. And Prado lines one to center, but Granderson's right there. And the runners hold, 1 out. So now Christian Yelich is 1 for 2. Had an infield hit his last time up. You know, when we talk about the Marlins and the baseball community as a whole absorbing the loss of a singular star like Jose Fernandez, you know, the three of us up here at our particular age think about it from a certain perspective, and what you lose sight of sometimes is that so many of these players are so young. I mean, Christian Yelich is same age as Jose Fernandez was, 24 years old. Many of them have not experienced much in terms of loss. Key people in their lives passing away. Some have, but many haven't.
Well, I meet a lot of their parents, and they'll come up and say hello, and they're 10 years my junior. You know, and I find myself occasionally when I'm in a locker room and talking to one of the players, as I leave, I have a little chuckle because it's kind of funny to me how young they seem, and I'm sure that I seemed as young 35 years ago.
But from an emotional standpoint, as a 24, 25-year-old, how you deal with the loss of somebody who you've been in the same locker room with every day for months and for years, who has become part of your life and obviously a great player, but also a huge piece of your daily existence. Can't be that easy. Two on and one out. Yelich with a 2-1 count. Fouls it back. Well, there is some good news for the Mets. It comes from St. Louis, where Joey Votto and Adam Duvall both homered against Jaime Garcia in the first inning, and the Reds lead the Cardinals 2-0 as they go to the second. Cardinals a game and a half behind the Mets, a half game behind the Giants for the second wild card spot. Mets are in the first spot, a game in front of San Francisco. Giants are off tonight. And Yelich leans back, full count. Giancarlo Stanton on deck. Three-two coming. And Yelich strikes out on the fastball. Second strikeout for Inoa, 2 out in the inning. Tonight's Verizon trivia question. Don Mattingly finished second in the MVP voting in the American League in 1986. Who won?
I think I got that one. A very rare feat. Doesn't happen that often.
Right. Here's Stanton, who's hit 2 bullets to center field. One for a hit, one was caught. 2 on and 2 out. And he takes a swing at a sinker, and it's 0-1. Stanton had 27 home runs last year. He has 27 home runs this year. The caveat on Stanton is always how many times he can appear on the field. Over the last 5 years, including this one, since this one's almost over, he's averaged 115 games a year.
Well, when you look at him, he looks like the statue of David. So for him to miss so much time, it just doesn't make any sense.
This year was a groin injury that knocked him out. They thought at first he wasn't going to be back at all this year after he got hurt in early August. There's Logan Verrett up in the Mets bullpen. He still has not played 9 innings in a game yet. They brought him back first to pinch hit, then an inning or 2 here and there. He's gone 7 innings, but he's not yet gone 9. He tried to hold, and he stopped it in time. 3-1. I mentioned Jaime Garcia gave up those 2 home runs in the first inning. He's out of the game.
Well, they took him out of the rotation, so this was kind of a spot start for him.
Michael Wacha has come in relief in the second inning for the Cardinals, so Mike Matheny's not fooling around.
Desperate measures.
Good breaking ball on 3-1. Full count now on Stanton.
Well,
I mean, that's the mode you have to be in right now, right?
I think Terry's going to have to answer questions about Cologne after the game, I would think.
Have to take on something of a playoff mentality with your starting pitchers. Runners get set to go, and Stanton pops one foul that'll come back out of play.
And I think Terry has. I mean, Terry's been using tons of players. We all felt he should have yanked pinch hit for Cologne.
He pulled Inoa after 2 innings the other night. He had only given up 2 runs.
But that's a AAA guy.
Right.
You know, you got your big guy out there, your big winner. I mean, your hopes maybe that, okay, can he get it? Can he find it?
Well, he never found it tonight. Cologne got thrashed for 7 runs in 2 1/3. Stanton gets one in the air to right. Bruce hustling toward the line, and he gets there, catches it in fair territory to end the inning. So we know it gives up a couple of hits, but puts up a 0. 7-0 Miami after 4. Airlines and Delta Dugout. Visit sny.tv/Delta Dugout for details. Home run sculpture designed by Red Grooms, looming over left center field. Brian Ellington will be the 3rd Miami pitcher of the night.
Well, we were really impressed with Brian last year when he came up late for the Marlins. You see, only his 29th game this year. Throws awfully hard.
Travis d'Arnaud leads off for the Mets in the 5th. Mets have had just 2 hits through the first 4 innings. The first 3 thrown by Adam Conley, the last one by Mike Dunn. After the Mets posted 17 runs, 14 hits, 9 walks, and 4 hit batsmen in the game against the Phillies yesterday. There are no run savings accounts in baseball where you can put some away from a rainy day.
That's why the run differential doesn't get you all emotional.
Well, the theory of the run differential is that if you score enough runs, you should have more wins.
Yeah.
Right? That if you win a 1-run game, it's a win, but somehow not as good a win as if you win by 17. But unfortunately, for the run differential people, that's not how baseball works.
Well, occasionally there's been some teams. I remember there was a Diamondbacks team, I think about 8-9 years ago, that had a negative run differential.
Minus 20. Minus 20. They went to the postseason. That was 07, I think.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, hey, listen, the Cubs have bludgeoned people all year, and that's why their run differential is outstanding.
Arnaud bangs one off his foot, and that stung. Fifth inning brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealers, who invite you to test drive a new Ford. You'll discover why Ford is the total package. You know what the run differential proved yesterday? That the Phillies bullpen is really bad.
Oh my God! Did you see the box score in the paper today?
I watched you guys yesterday. It was a very difficult open for you guys, and I watched it. So proud of you too. And when I saw the score, I was going to watch the game, but I decided not to.
Probably better off.
Let me tell you, that box score yesterday was back in Egyptian times. There's not enough papyrus going around for that.
2-2 coming. And d'Arnaud pulls one down the line toward the corner. That ball is foul. Just foul. We told you how much Travis likes hitting in this ballpark. He almost had his first home run in 6 weeks, but it just ducked away.
Boy, we've had two just missed by feet.
Speaking of a guy who knows what it is to just miss a home run, Lucas Duda's out on deck to pinch hit. He had that one the other night at Citi Field that would have won the game. That missed by about 6 inches. Well, in St. Louis, Steve Selski.
Yeah, of course, Steve.
Steve Selski just homered for the Reds, their 3rd solo home run, and they lead the Cardinals 3-0 in the 2nd. That went off Michael Wacha. That's on the outside corner, and d'Arnaud's caught looking.
Yeah, I can see the gripe by d'Arnaud. That ball's not a strike. It's off the plate. What do you think, Keith?
Oh yeah. You saw the catcher bring it back. That's always not enough guys to get an umpire. Give him a little guff. You gotta give the umpire a little guff once in a while.
It's hard to do that when you're a catcher. You need to get those calls for your own guy.
If there ever was a time to do it, it might be today.
So now Duda batting for Campbell, who had just one at bat, got the start against the lefty, but now with the righties in the game. Duda, who started Friday and Saturday, sat yesterday. He was very sore after playing back-to-back days after sitting out for 4.5 months. Lucas takes a strike, 1-1.
A difficult decision for the Mets this winter, right? With Lucas.
Well, what other options? Move Michael Conforto to first, go out and sign a big bat, make a trade.
Who knows? Jay Bruce to first. I don't know.
You have to decide on Bruce too, if they pick up that option. But a lot of that may hinge on Cespedes' decision. If he opts out, maybe you have to bring both those guys back.
Yeah, Cespedes goes. I don't know what to tell you.
All that down the road. First, the Mets have a postseason to try to make. 2-1 to Duda. And Lucas takes it outside. Brandon Nimmo was out on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher. And the Mets try and get something going against what will be a parade of Miami relievers the rest of the way. Just like every other September night. So it seems. And Duda goes after a 3-1 fastball and misses. Full count. Alert. Alert.
Will Robinson.
So that would be danger.
Warning.
Selski warning.
Sound like a storm warning.
What was the professor's name? Was it just the professor? Didn't he have a name? That goofy character?
Oh.
And there was a professor.
In Lost in Space?
Yeah. Or was he doctor?
I know the professor from Gilligan's Island.
Dr. Smith.
Oh, well, he was the mean one.
Yeah, he was the mean one.
Yeah.
Dr. Smith, right. Professor, I'm thinking of Gilligan's Island.
Right. He was just a professor. There's ball 4, and Duda's on with a walk. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner, and Brandon Nimmo will come up to pinch hit.
Brandon's done a very nice job off the bench. He's been swinging a very good bat. He's been a tough out.
Yesterday he had 2 plate appearances, walked both times, scored both times. It's one thing that Brandon brings to the table. The thing that really jumped out along with his athleticism when the Mets signed him is that he's very patient. Here he goes after the first one, bloops it into shallow right, and it falls for a hit. Well played by Duda, who read it well. Otherwise Stanton might have had a chance for a force at second. So it's a blue pit for Nimmo.
Stanton tried to pull a little deke here, but Duda was too savvy.
I don't know. Instead of faking, Stanton could have just come as hard as he could. He might have, but he can't with that injury.
So the Mets with a chance here. First and second, one out. Jose Reyes, who had an infield hit his last time up, and takes outside from Ellington. A changeup, ball one. Reyes drove in 4 runs yesterday, hitting in the #1 spot in the order. As Asdrubal Cabrera drove in 4 runs yesterday with a grand slam, hitting in the 2nd spot in the order. It was the first time in Mets history they had a game where the #1 and 2 hitters in the batting order each drove in 4 runs.
Really?
Yep. First time. In fact, it had only happened in the major leagues once in the last 6 years.
And then Campbell came in and put a little cherry on top with a 2 RBI single. So they had 10 runs driven in by the 1-2 hitters yesterday.
2 of Reyes's RBIs came on bases loaded walks. I don't think I'd ever seen what happened with Reyes yesterday. He had 4 consecutive plate appearances with the bases loaded.
Wow. Could have had a big day.
Had 16 RBIs.
Well, they walked him twice, right, with the bases loaded. So that, what can you do?
And he had a 2-run double his last time up. 2-2 now to Reyes.
But there were 4 Met batsmen hit by Philly pitchers. 4 separate Philly pitchers.
Really? so I'm thinking that you guys weren't kind to the Philly bullpen.
Well,
they were not kind to themselves.
They were. That was
self-immolation. 2-2 to Reyes with 2 on, and Jose lifts one to center. Yelich is there. 2 out. So now Cabrera with 2 out and 2 on. He's been aboard twice with a single and a walk.
He's been solid down the stretch, just wearing it out ever since he came off the DL.
Well, look where that average sits right now, 283. Wasn't that long ago he was in the 250s.
Well, in 35 games since coming back from the disabled list, he's sitting over 360. He just does not let up. Doing it from both sides of the plate, doing it with the one bad knee and the other one getting bruised a couple of days ago. Not coming out of the lineup.
One of my favorite things to do, guys, is over the course of seasons, look at young pitchers, how they developed over the course of time. Ellington last year throws hard, didn't really have a developed breaking ball. Looks like nothing's changed since last year. I haven't seen a good breaking ball from him yet, but he can throw hard.
And he's flat with his. He's not a sinker ball pitcher. This ball runs. There's a changeup right there.
He's also got some control issues that continue to crop up. One of the reasons he stayed in the minors this year as long as he did. One and one to Cabrera with Cespedes on deck. And Asdrubal takes another off-speed pitch outside. 2-1. Place a deposit on your full or partial 2017 ticket plan today. Mets season ticket plans lock you in for all the big games, including opening day and the Subway Series, and give you priority postseason access. Place a deposit at Mets.com/deposits or by calling 718-507-TIXX.
Looking ahead.
That's too high. Now Ellington behind on Cabrera, 3-1. Well, you walk Ellington, get Cespedes to the plate. That's the best chance the Mets have to get themselves right back in this game. And Hunter Cervenka, the former Atlanta Brave, gets himself ready. Three-1 coming to Cabrera. And as Asdrubal pops it up foul, That'll head toward the seats and go out of play.
Not a lot of foul territory in Marlins Park. Good for a hitter.
What I do like, though, is down the lines, there's a little more room for the outfielders. A little less chance of injury.
The sidewall doesn't get there quite as quickly as it does at Citi Field. So now the runners will take off. Duda at second, Nimmo at first, 3-2, 2 out. Ellington's 3-2. And Cabrera fouls it off. Fastball running in on him. Mets scored 44 runs in 4 games against the Phillies. Most they've ever scored in a home series in franchise history, but they've been blanked so far tonight. 3-2. And Cabrera drives one down the right field line toward the corner, and it's a fair ball bouncing up against the wall. 2 runs will score. Cabrera pulls in at second base with a 2-run double, and the Mets are on the board now, 7-2 Miami. And Cabrera just keeps on raking his 30th double of the year.
Well, what a job by the pinch hitters. Keith getting on.
60 and 61 RBIs now for the season. And he had that drought earlier in the year where he couldn't drive in a run. And he's made up for it down the stretch.
Well, he has been just phenomenal. I don't know how else to describe it. For a guy basically playing on one leg for 2 months now, he's been the Mets' best player.
And I think it was noteworthy that Terry Collins retold the story he told early in the year, that many people told him he could not play shortstop anymore. He had old legs, didn't have the same kind of movement that he did, and shortstop days were behind him.
So the Mets have begun the big uphill climb. They were down 7-0. Now it's 7-2. And here's Cespedes, who's popped up and struck out 0 for 2. And Cespedes pops it up.
Oh, he missed it.
A mile high. It might have hit the roof. I believe it did. And it comes down to Prado with fair territory for the 3rd out. 2-run double for Cabrera gets the Mets on the board. Halfway through it, 7-2 Miami. It was a truly raw, emotional time as the Marlins paid tribute to and remembered their fallen teammate, all wearing Jose Fernandez's name and number, the last time it'll ever be worn by any Miami Marlin. And that emotion got channeled into 7 early runs for the Marlins, starting with D. Gordon's dramatic, emotional leadoff home run against Bartolo Colon. And on the night that they celebrate the life of Jose Fernandez and play their first game without him, the Marlins have a 7-2 lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Rafael Montero on to pitch. Lucas Duda stayed in at first base.
Well, Inoa went an inning and 2/3. Relief of Bartolo Colon, and now the parade of Mets relievers will start also.
Justin Bour leading off. We told you coming into the game how Bour has been struggling since coming back from 2 months on the disabled list. No struggle tonight. A double and his first major league triple. He's driven in a run. He's scored 2. And Montero falls behind him 2-0. Rafael, last time out in relief, went 3 1/3, allowed 5 runs and 7 hits Saturday night against the Phillies. That's hoping to squeeze an inning or 2 out of him and try to get back closer into this game. Just got their first 2 runs in the top of the inning. It would appear from a Marlins standpoint that after the incredible happenings of the first couple of innings of this game, that they've settled back into just a baseball game now.
I think they are worn out, to tell you the truth.
And Bour lines one to right field, and he's got his 3rd hit of the night. Bruce cuts it off, so Bour with a double, a triple, and now a single. 3 for 3.
All he's got to do is hit the big bomb now. He almost had one earlier. Went foul.
Last 2 seasons for Bour, 22 for 59 off Mets pitching.
A dozen hits tonight now for Miami. And here's JT Realmuto at an infield single to drive and a run in the 2nd. 1 for 2 on the night. And he takes a strike. Bartolo Colon went 2 1/3, allowed 7 runs and 8 hits. After a long string of successful starts, not tonight for Bartolo. You know, when inning and 2/3, no runs, 3 hits, and now Montero in the 5th. And Realmuto rolls one out to the left side. Reyes to second, and Rivera did well to catch it and stay on the bag. No chance then for a double play.
Well, Jose has a habit of throwing 3/4, almost sidearm. And that's when the ball runs. When he throws that, it'll run into the runner and get your second baseman killed. And Rivera did all he can do to make the play and get the heck out of Dodge.
Did you see that ball almost went through the webbing of the glove of Rivera? To tighten those strings up a little bit.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Echeverria. Watch out for Realmuto. He can steal a base. A catcher who can run. He's got 12 steals this year. And a sinker in for a strike to Echeverria, who's already 2 for 2 in this game. A double and a single. He's driven in 2. He's scored 1. Off the fist, rolled out to Rivera. Goes to second and gets the force there by an eyelash for the 2nd out.
Nice play, TJ. Plays in front of you. You can make your judgment as the ball's rolling to you. And he makes the quick turn. Very nice. Got the lead runner.
So now 2 out, and Derek Dietrich is going to be the pinch hitter.
Keith, what kind of grade would you give Rivera so far at second base?
He's done a heck of a job with it. He's sure-handed. I think he's got a little more range up the middle than he does to his left. But he's sure-handed. He can turn double play.
Dietrich goes after the first pitch fastball, 0-1. Your 4th, 5th inning recap. Bad night at the office for Bartolo Colon. D. Gordon hit his first home run of the year leading off the first inning, and it only got worse from there. Gordon 3 for 3, including that emotional home run. Josh Edgen up in the Mets bullpen, ready to pitch behind Montero. And Dietrich takes one that sails outside. Dietrich played a lot early in the year. When D. Gordon was out on suspension, he played most of the second base.
He did a nice job for him, too. He hit well.
He's hitting .286, and he leads the world in getting hit by pitches. He's got 24 this year, which means he's almost halfway to Hunt.
He doesn't move. If the ball's inside, he has a habit of kind of just staying there or even leaning in a little bit and catching that front elbow.
Dietrich batting for the pitcher Ellington, and lays off. 2-1. Nick Whitgren, next man up in the Miami bullpen.
Seems like Mattingly's going to do what we were talking about before. After Conley's 3 innings, seems like each reliever is going to get one to work.
You know, 1 is fine. It's a third at a time that you have to watch out for.
Yeah.
That's too high, and it's 3-1 to Dietrich, with D. Gordon standing on deck. Echeverria at first with 2 out, and Dietrich gets a hold of one to right, chasing Bruce back to the warning track, fielding for the wall. He makes the catch. Ballpark just big enough to hold it, and Dietrich is denied to retire the side. A hit and 1 left. We go to the 6th. Mets down by 5.
Jacksonville, moved up to New Orleans. This is his second stint with the Marlins this season.
Austin Bryce, who was born in Hong Kong.
That's right.
In to face Curtis Granderson, who takes the low and in for ball one.
The only player ever born in Hong Kong, right?
High school in Pittsburgh, North Carolina, which is a long way from Hong Kong.
Yes, it is.
Granderson has flied to left and struck out 0 for 2. And Bryce throws a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Bryce's 13th big league outing. He's allowed just 5 hits in 12 2/3 innings. And Granderson got tied up on a pitch at his feet, and he went around 1-2.
Well, this is like your September game here. Although you're playing for something, all these guys coming up from AAA you haven't faced before.
And the curveball misses. 2-2. T.J. Rivera on deck, then Jay Bruce for the Mets, who got their 2 runs in the 5th inning. Now try to keep the momentum going after starting this game behind 7-0. They know what that feels like. Falling behind by big numbers and fighting their way back after the 10-0 deficit they faced just a couple of nights ago before getting the tying runs on base in the 9th. 3-2 coming, and it's ball 4. Or is it? I had 3-2.
The board had 3-2. The board has 4-2 now.
And now Granderson, who was the last man to find out it was ball 4, will go to first base. So, as Curtis figures out the number of balls in a walk, we'll go to Steve Gelbs. This report tonight is brought to you by Affinity Health Plan. Steve?
Well, Gary, it's been quite a surreal experience being in this ballpark tonight, as you've noticed, but it's really just been a surreal experience being in the city of Miami today. The things you see, the things you hear. I got into a cab on the way to the ballpark, and the first thing my cab driver said when I sat down, he just shook his head and said, "That poor kid." At lunch today, overheard 2 guys talking, one of whom was at the game, the last Jose Fernandez start, and he told his friend, "I have tickets for the game tonight, but I'm too distraught. I can't bring myself to go." And then being in the park, the things that you see, a normally stoic elevator operator that we see every trip we're in here, she was giving everybody a hug as you came into the elevator. In just about the 3rd inning, I was walking around the park, and 2 vendors in the concourse level locked eyes with each other, and both of them just broke down crying, gave each other a hug. Whether or not people knew Jose Fernandez personally, they felt like they did, and that's the feeling that you get in this city today.
It is truly overwhelming how much this man meant to this entire community.
Yes. Well, Juan Nieves is going out to talk to his control-plagued youngster here. You know, Steve, what's interesting, I have 3 real good friends from New York who came down for this series. They're here. They have tickets for all 3 games. They decided not to come tonight.
My experiences today coming to the ballpark were about a handful of Cuban Americans. I passed underneath the stadium with very, very tearful eyes. Thanked us for our open yesterday. They were very emotional about it.
There's a strike to Rivera, 2-1.
So that was very touching, Gary. And also the African American woman in the elevator, who she's very sweet, and she said, I get on the elevator, she goes, "Give me a hug." It's just one of these. It's just one of those. Elise is her name, and it's just what's been going on today at this ballpark.
Well, my friends who decided not to come tonight decided this. They didn't want to come, and if the Mets were having a big game, be standing up and cheering. They just didn't want to do that here tonight, which I kind of understand.
How about this incredible irony or coincidence, whatever you want to call it? The 2 other young men who were killed in the boat crash along with Jose Fernandez were named Emilio Macias and Eduardo Rivera, good friends of Jose's. They went to the same high school here in Miami. By total coincidence, the color guard that came out onto the field before the game tonight was the junior naval ROTC from their high school. And that had been arranged months in advance.
Goose egg. Goosebumps everywhere.
Two and two to Rivera with Bruce on deck. And TJ takes curveball high, full count. So a walk to Granderson, now a 3-2 count to Rivera. The Mets happy to get base runners any way they can to try and find their way back into this game. And Austin Bryce so far has been accommodated. Big pitch here. 3-2 coming to Rivera. And TJ takes inside, so back-to-back walks to get the Mets started in the 6th.
If you're Don Mattingly, you can't let this. This is an emotional game. You can't let this one slip away.
Some kids are going to be able to perform in this game, and some are not.
Here he comes too.
Yeah.
Jeez. You can't have this.
Does Donnie have another pitcher ready, or is he just out there to
he got a left-hander up out there.
Okay. So you got Bruce coming up. And Cervenka is coming in. The former Brave Hunter Cervenka will come in with 2 men on. And we'll be right back to Miami. From last night's Jets-Chiefs debacle in Kansas City on the JetsBlog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network.
Debacle was on there?
Did you see the 8 turnovers?
I did not.
Hunter Cervenka is in to pitch for the Marlins. Jay Bruce, the batter, with 2 aboard. And Jay takes a strike.
What do they got Cervenka listed at weight-wise, Ron, in the book?
I don't know what the book says.
The book may be a little out of date. It says 245.
Well,
he was in 50 games for the Braves, now in his 15th for the Marlins. A ball and a strike to Bruce.
He's got a good numbers. Inherited runners stranded, 25 of 30, and that's what the Marlins need him to do here.
So Cervenka trying to put a big X through Austin Bryce's outing.
You know that band too.
And he throws one by Bruce, 1-2. Jay's hit 2 balls hard tonight. He lined one to right center, and Stanton made a nice play on it. Then he hit a sharp ground ball to first, and Bohr made a good stab on it. Travis d'Arnaud waiting on deck. Right-hander in the bullpen ready for him. 1-2 from Cervenka, and Bruce bounces one foul.
Cervenka is throwing some serious hangage up there. He better watch out.
Hangage. That's a new one. I like it.
By the way, the Reds have added 3 runs in the top of the 4th and still batting against Michael Wacha. Cincinnati 6, St. Louis nothing in the 4th inning in St. Louis. Giants are off tonight. But the Mets with a chance to gain or at least hold steady with the Cardinals.
I remember I asked you a couple of months ago if this season reminded you at all of '73, and you said to me, I'll never forget, you said no, because the Mets finished barely over 500, but because of how the division was, you needed the teams to lose on the right nights, and it seems like some of that same thing is happening with the Giants and Cardinals.
Well, you said it before, and it bears repeating. Sometimes the best position you can be in this race is have the night off. The Giants are off tonight. 1-2 to Bruce, and he hammers one foul. And with all the emotional release the fans have had here tonight, they've got the energy to do the wave.
Much to Noah Syndergaard's chagrin. He's anti-wave.
Oh, if Noah had been around in the 80s, he would have loved it.
Well, then it was new and fresh.
Yes, and exciting.
7th pitch of the at bat coming from Cervenka to Bruce, and it's inside. 2-2. Did that ball hit the bat?
He's saying a foul tip?
I think it might have. John Hirschbeck talking to JT Realmuto about it. Let's see.
I don't think so.
You sure?
I thought it hit the bat.
I thought it did too.
I think it just hit Hirschbeck. He needed a second. Here comes Mattingly out, though.
I mean, Hirschbeck called it a ball, and I think Mattingly felt and Realmuto felt as though that ball hit Bruce's bat.
It did.
And I think they're right.
Just hit the very end of his bat.
It's not a reviewable play.
Of course not.
It's a hanging slide. Yeah.
It definitely hit his bat. So the Mets are going to go to break here.
Should be able to hear that.
No, wait a second. Is Hirschbeck changing his call? I think he might be.
Here we go. Now we're going to have.
The other 3 umpires have gathered in front of home plate talking amongst themselves, and now Hirschbeck's going to check with them.
Oh, here's a winner. What a panel.
So one of them might have seen or heard the ball hit the bat.
Well, usually the home plate umpire will hear it. I'm wondering, because the ball was fouled into Hirschbeck and it hit him, if his concentration waffled.
Let's listen and see if we can hear it hit the bat.
You heard more leather than bat, but it's obvious here.
I mean, it certainly appeared to hit the bat.
Yes. What are you going to do now? Come on, guys.
So are they changing it or no?
Here comes Mattingly.
Apparently no.
Oh man, this is.
Well, Hirschbeck is telling Realmuto, nothing I can do. Nobody saw it, nobody heard it, and he's going to say the same thing to Mattingly. So it's going to stay a ball, even though it clearly hit the bat. And as we speak, the Reds just scored 2 more runs. 8-0 Cincinnati. And now, wait a second, the first base umpire, Vic Carapazza, wants to make sure he knows what the count is. And it is indeed 2-2. So it was a ball. And now this will be the 8th pitch of the at bat from Cervenka to Bruce. Granderson and Rivera, the base runners, with nobody out. And Bruce lifts one to shallow right. Stanton is right there, and that's the first out of the inning. So whatever the count was, it's an F9 in your scorecard.
That's right. What's in a count anyway, Gare? I'm only interested in F9s.
Well, Jay Bruce probably isn't.
No. It's just such indecision.
Now Travis d'Arnaud will get an at bat against the lefty, looking to drive in a run, something he's not done this season. 58 at bats against left-hand pitching with no RBIs. And it's in for a strike. City probables. Noah Syndergaard coming off the bad start followed by the strep throat will get the start tomorrow night against Tom Poehler. Seth Lugo Wednesday night against a starter to be determined.
Syndergaard with, of course, a couple extra days to try to get him healthy enough to go 7 or 8 tomorrow.
The plan is, or at least the plan was coming into tonight, that the Mets would go to a 4-man rotation for this last week with the off day Thursday. That way they could pitch Colon and Syndergaard tonight and tomorrow, and then again Saturday and Sunday if necessary. And then they could always pull Syndergaard back Sunday if they don't need that game and have him ready for the wild card game. Check swing by d'Arnaud. He did not swing. 2-1. Don't know if Colon's poor start tonight affects that plan at all. But I do know the Mets wanted to give an extra day to Syndergaard, not pitch him tonight, move him back to tomorrow because, you know, that strep throat really knocked the stuffing out of him. Couldn't eat for 3 days. That's a call strike. 2-2.
2-1 fastball, huh? I think that, you know, I know Syndergaard needed it, Gary, but boy, it would have been nice to down the stretch give Bartolo a day when you couldn't, when you can, but you couldn't.
Lucas Duda waits on deck. 2-2 to d'Arnaud, and Travis takes low and in, full count.
In a strange way, Bartolo's given him some extra rest because of his ineffective outing tonight.
Only threw 47 pitches. Fourth batter of the inning. There have already been 26 pitches thrown to these 4 batters. 3-2 coming to d'Arnaud, and that's low ball for the 3rd walk of the inning. Loads the bases for Duda. So 2 walks issued by Bryce and now 1 by Cervenka. And Duda will get an opportunity to get the Mets right back in this game, down 7-2 in the 6th.
1 swing, but don't think that a double hits a big spacious park. Big double down the line or in the gaps with the speed of d'Arnaud at first is going to clear the bases, and it's a brand new ball game.
So a big chance for Lucas Duda. He's 0 for 1 against Cervenka. Granderson, Rivera, and d'Arnaud the base runners, and Duda has to lean out of the way of a fastball. It's ball 1.
And Nieves has to go back out there. He got some young relievers pitching tight for the Marlins.
Well, I mean, this is Cervenka's 65th game of his rookie season, and he's not throwing as hard as he was when he was with the Braves earlier this year.
He was well over 90 when he was throwing with them. I've seen a lot of 86, 87 mile an hour fastballs.
5 walks issued by Marlin pitchers. You can't do that.
The Reds just added another run. They've scored 6 runs in the 4th inning and lead the Cardinals 9-0. So the Mets are getting help in St. Louis, now trying to help themselves. With Duda at the plate, again the Mets once trailed 7-0. Now 1 more base runner. They can get the tying run to bat. Ty Kelly's out on deck to pinch hit. Bases loaded, 1 out. Duda walked in his only plate appearance, and he pops one up foul, and that'll come back out of play. 1-1.
Well, I never thought this roof could be hit with a foul pop. I've seen almost 2 now. Duda there, and Cespedes came as close as I've seen.
I'm not sure Cespedes didn't hit the roof. It's Goodell and Robles up in the Mets bullpen. Duda takes wide. 2-1. There's Ty Kelly waiting on deck to pinch hit. Bases loaded on 3 walks, And Duda flailing at a pitch out of the strike zone. And it's 2-2. That's a big chase right there. Could have been 3-1. Instead, it's 2-2. Duda came on as a pinch hitter in the 5th inning, walked and scored, stayed in the game at first base. Granderson, Rivera, and d'Arnaud are all aboard. 2-2. Outside, full count.
What is happening here?
Well, this is what we saw so much of from the Phillies bullpen over the weekend.
I feel like I'm in Toledo watching the Mud Hens.
With Jamie Farr.
Why do you got to pick on Toledo?
Because they're the Mud Hens. They set themselves up for it. 3-2 to Duda. And Lucas takes breaking ball for strike 3 call. That slider came over the inside part of the plate. And Cervenka gets the strikeout for the second out.
Boy, that's right down the middle. That caught a lot of the plate.
So now 2 out. And Don Mattingly's on his way out to the mound. You got the switch hitting Ty Kelly coming up. And they're going to bring in a right-hander to face him to turn Ty around and make him a left-hand batter. So another pitching change for the Marlins here in the 6th. We'll be right back to Miami. Been a slugfest for the Cincinnati Reds. They've hit 3 home runs tonight, and they lead the Cardinals 10-0. They scored 7 runs in the top of the 4th inning. And Tim Adelman, the Red starter, hasn't allowed a hit yet.
Wow.
Dustin McGowan is in for the Marlins.
He's had a strong year for the Marlins. See that first batter face, a good number. Kelly Johnson, when he pinch hits, loves to swing at the first pitch.
Ty Kelly was announced, but Kelly Johnson is batting for Ty Kelly. If you can keep that straight. Now Ty Kelly's a switch hitter, but with a right-hander in the game, this is a spot where Terry Collins wants to put the hammer down, and Kelly Johnson's his best left-handed pinch hitter.
Yes, experienced, can look middle in.
Bases loaded, 2 out. And Johnson, it's a ground ball. Echeverria in front of it. Gets the force play to end the inning. Let's draw 3 walks, fill them up, but can't get them home. Still 7-2 Miami in the middle of the 6th. came up for the first pitch of the bottom of the first inning as a right-hand batter in tribute to Jose Fernandez, and then went to his natural side and paid even greater tribute with his first home run of the year, and could not hold back his emotions as he circled the bases, hugged every one of his teammates. What a release. What a moment. And Gordon's followed that up with 2 singles. He's 3 for 3 as he faces Eric Goodell leading off the bottom of the 6th.
See the numbers for Eric back and forth from Las Vegas this summer.
And his splitter misses low and away, or it's in for a strike, excuse me. 0-2. Marcelo Zuna on deck, then Martin Prado. Mets using their 4th pitcher of the night after Bartolo Colon got routed for 7 runs in 2 1/3 innings. Gabriel Noah pitched an inning in 2/3 scoreless. Rafael Montero a scoreless 5th inning. And now Goodell, who last pitched on Saturday night against the Phillies. And Gordon lifts one foul.
So Gary, the Mets on Saturday, the comeback, did they ever come back from 10 runs?
No.
Oh.
8 is the biggest deficit they have ever come back from. In fact, it was only the 2nd time they had ever come from double digits down to get within 2 runs. And as it turned out, they got the tying runs on base and the winning run to the plate in the bottom of the 9th before coming up short. Goodell having trouble controlling that splitter, and it's 2-2. And Gordon pulls that one through the hole for his 4th hit of the night. Now this is what D. Gordon did against the Mets last year. Remember, he had 35 hits against the Mets last season.
That's right. Hit in 18 of the 19 games.
Fastball turns. Quick bat.
He started this game 5 for 35 against the Mets this year, but now he's 4 for 4 tonight. You mentioned that he has just recently been rounding into his normal form after missing all that time under suspension. And he has shown it tonight. Now here's Marcelo Zuna, who's 1 for 3. It's the first 4-hit game for Gordon this season. The 13th hit for the Marlins tonight. They scored their 7 runs in the first 3 innings. There goes Gordon, a huge jump. Ozuna though lines it to left, and Cespedes moves over to grab it. Gordon hesitates, then goes back to first base.
Well, I don't think Gordon was sure that he did the right thing, because you know when you get to the bag, if you go past it, you have to retag it to come back. Well, he just stood on the bag, never crossed it, I believe, so he never did have to retouch it. He had his foot on it, just pushed himself back to first.
Travis d'Arnaud is looking into the dugout, asking Terry Collins if they want to appeal at second base.
It just looked ugly. I think what he did was right, but it didn't look great.
So he hits the bag, and he's still on the bag, and he's fine.
Yeah.
Now Martin Prado, who's 0 for 3, has lined out his last 2 at bats. Fastball below the knees. There's your Porsche leaderboard. Martin Prado top 5 in the National League in base hits. Daniel Murphy moving down that list a little bit. Hasn't played in more than a week because of the strained gluteus maximus. The Nats might have another problem too, depending on how badly Bryce Harper's thumb is injured. I need to get your guys' take on that play yesterday between the Nationals and the Pirates. If you missed it, Bryce Harper got an extra base hit. Looked like he was going to have an easy triple. Jung-Ho Kang, the Pirates' third baseman, faked as though there was a play at third base, which convinced Harper that he needed to slide, and it was a late awkward slide, and he jammed his thumb into the third base bag, and the Nats were very unhappy about it. They wound up throwing A.J. Cole threw a pitch behind Kang. He was ejected for that. There was a lot of pushing and shoving and benches clearing.
The pitch behind by A.J. Cole behind Kang was pathetic. He should have just drilled him.
But go back to the play at third base. The act of faking as though there's a play when there is none on the part of Kang. If that's drilled to deep left center by Prado, back goes Granderson in front of the home run sculpture. He makes the catch for a long second out. Boy, there have been some hard hit balls that have gone for outs tonight, and that's one of them.
Well, I think the play is a dirty play, Gary, and watching it, so you watch this fly ball that Granderson in this cavernous park able to make an easy play on. If you watch the play, Harper knew he had a stand-up triple, but because he kind of broke it down and Kang faked like a throw was coming in at the very last second, he tried to go into a head-first slide. That's where he jammed his thumb. I thought it was I would not be happy with it also.
I would not be happy either.
I would have been all over him if I was standing on third.
And he was sitting over there when the fight was going on all the benches. He was over there in the dugout,
now
away from everything.
Now let me ask you. You see players deke all the time the other way, right? Pretending there's not a play when there is one, to get a runner to go in standing up so you can tag him out. Why, from a baseball player's perspective, is this worse?
Well, to me, when you just stand on the bag and wait for the throw and try to deke him that it's not coming, that's on the runner. That's his fault. He's got to know that.
Right.
But on a play like that, there's no reason to fake him. There's nothing going to happen that can fool the runner. All you're doing is inviting an injury like happened.
Well, Kang's explanation was the reason that he did it is because the throw was wide and he wanted to make sure Harper slid so he couldn't score on the play. Right. That was his explanation. That doesn't hold water?
It holds a little bit of water, but it's a cheap play, and
I'm surprised I'm surprised he didn't get up and smoke him himself.
That could have been a fight right there.
I know one third baseman who used to wear the orange and blue would have smoked him.
Yes, he would.
Yeah, but he was a Gold Glove boxer. I'm not sure that Harper has that credential. I'm talking about Ray Knight, of course.
Yes.
Well, Harper's not in the lineup for the Nationals tonight in their game against Arizona. So we'll see whether that keeps him out any appreciable amount of time. 2-1 to Yelich. There goes Gordon. The pitch outside. Darno's throw is too late. Trickles past Cabrera, but backed up by Rivera. Stolen base for Gordon, his 27th of the year.
Oh, it's a little off-speed pitch. Big sink. A splitter, wasn't it, Ronnie?
Yeah. Gordon darting for that outside part of the bag. He was in there easily.
Now the Mets are going to walk Yelich intentionally and bring up Stanton. That's an interesting move.
Wow.
Really?
Behind 3-1. You got the right-hand pitcher on the mound, so they prefer the matchup with Stanton to that with Yelich.
You know, you got a young man that's really a better hitter than Stanton. Stanton obviously more ferocious, a power hitter, but can be pitched to. Yelich, you're down 3-1. You're down 3-1 in the count.
I don't know. Smells like a 3-run bomb to me when you walk someone in front of Stanton.
I wonder how many times he's had a hitter walked in front of him in his big league career.
You know, Gary, the last thing on Kang, I think it's so bad that it would carry on for me for seasons to go. I would drill Kang every chance I got.
The way the Nationals were talking about it, it sounds as though that might be the case. So here's Stanton, 1 for 3. Singleton scored back in the second. He's lined to center and flying to right since then. 2 on and 2 out. And the curveball gets Goodell in front, 0-1.
Nice breaking ball.
He's got a good one. He doesn't use it as much as you think he should.
I just think that he may have hit a wall, Ron.
Stanton has a home run in 3 career at bats against Goodell. Goodell's given up a hit and a walk in this inning, and the 2 outs have been well struck. So they're just trying to survive this 6th inning, keeping the game where it is. 3 infielders on the left side against Stanton. And the splitter in for a strike. 1-2.
All off speed stuff to Stanton so far. Only danger I have with off speed to Stanton, he is a down hitter, likes the ball down in the strike zone.
One, two coming. Jammed him and he fouls it off. Justin Bour on deck, a home run shy of a cycle. By the way, the Marlins, who came into the league in 1993, their 24th season, they've never had a cycle.
They're the last team. The Padres got a cycle?
Don't think they did. Well, maybe. That's a good question.
I thought
yeah, maybe they did.
I think they did.
They
right? Still haven't got the no-no, but.
Because they were the only team who didn't have either one.
I want to say Kemp.
Josh Edgen looking on with interest. He might be in to face Bour if Stanton keeps the inning going. You're correct. Kemp had a cycle last year. Good call, Ronnie. 2-2. Upstairs, full count.
Get ahead in the count and can't put it away. Now you got yourself in a tough situation. And you got the big bomber in the on deck circle and Justin Bour.
Gordon and Yelich will be running. 3-2, 2 out. And the curveball in there, strike 3 call.
Dropped it on him.
Goodell finds his way through a big jam, gets Stanton looking at the curveball to end the inning. After 6 in Miami, 7-2 Marlins. It's been growing since yesterday when the horrible news came down about the passing of Jose Fernandez. The spontaneous tribute just keeps going larger and larger. Candles and flowers and baseballs and tributes of every description left by fans who just can't believe that the 24-year-old superstar is gone. And the Marlins have been playing this game after heartfelt ceremonies to begin it on raw emotion all day. The fans have been spectacular in the way that they have cheered their team on today and kept Fernandez's memory alive. David Phelps in to pitch. Jose Reyes rolls over his first offering. Justin Bour makes the play. 1 pitch and 1 out for Phelps in the 7th.
Well, Phelps has been real good at the bullpen. He's made a couple of spot starts. Remember, he was supposed to start a game at Citi Field against the Mets, but before the game, or the day before the game, sorry, he injured himself in the batting cage. Swinging the bat, had a left oblique strain, and he just came back off the DL.
And they put him back in the bullpen after his return from the disabled list.
And the Mets have been very, very rude to him. They have pounded him even when he was a Yankee.
Asdrubal Cabrera has been on base 3 times in a row tonight. What else is new? Single, walk, and a 2-run double. That brought in the only Met runs in the 5th inning. And Asdrubal takes inside 1-1. There's your Dodge Mets box score. Mets have had only 4 hits, and Cabrera has half of them.
Yeah, but there's been 5 walks, so they've had their opportunities, Gary.
They walked 3 times in the 6th, but left them loaded.
And they left 8 men on base in this game.
$26,933. That's a good crowd here on a Monday.
And the fastball in for a strike to Cabrera. 2-2. Well, remember, this is the night that Jose Fernandez was supposed to pitch.
Yeah.
He had originally been scheduled to start yesterday against the Braves. Had his start pushed back. They put Adam Conley in that spot. Strike 3 called. Cabrera's caught looking. First time he's been retired tonight.
Phelps has that fastball that comes back over the plate. Starts it inside, bends it back over, and that caught plenty of plate.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Cespedes has gone 0 for 3. Popped up twice and struck out.
A little bit like Cespedes has been over swinging a little tonight, doesn't it? Feels like that.
He had a rough day yesterday at the plate as well. He was hit by a pitch, almost hit by another. Just looked a little out of sorts.
Hasn't hit a home run in a while, right?
September 11th was his last home run. It's 53 at bats. His longest homerless drought of the year. Well, now the Reds are just pouring it on. It's 14-1 Cincinnati leading St. Louis in the 5th inning.
Jaime Garcia started. He wasn't good. Michael Walker has had a lost year.
And then Luke Weaver, who had been starting for them, came on in relief. He got hit hard. Adam Duvall has 2 home runs in that game for Cincinnati. His 32nd and 33rd.
Just amazing. I mean, St. Louis, what do you think about when you think about them? They never lose at their home park. That's what you feel. Just the opposite this year.
Well, it's an interesting tone being set for a 4-game series by the Reds tonight. That's driven to right center, but Stanton playing over that way is there to grab it. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for David Phelps in the top of the 7th. So Phelps with an easy inning. We're going to keep it here for the performance of God Bless America. Let's send it to the public address announcer, Chad Robinson.
America by Geraldine Martin.
God bless America, land that I love, stand through the night with a light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Yeah, God bless America, my home, sweet home.
On an emotional night at Marlins Park in Miami. Everybody paying tribute in their own way to the late Jose Fernandez. We'll be right back. Bottom of the 7th inning, Eric Goodell begins his 2nd inning of relief. Justin Bour, who has a double, a triple, and a single tonight, will try to do something no Marlin has ever done. He has 15 home runs this year. And Goodell misses away ball 1. Well, we saw David Phelps and his tribute on the mound, patting the number 16 as he left the hill. And now exchanging hugs with his teammates. And Goodell misses with a splitter to fall behind 2-0.
You know, usually in a game, you're hugging a teammate because of a job well done. I think they're hugging each other because you survived.
Well, it's that fight of adrenaline against emotion, and you can't even imagine what it's like tonight for these Miami players, but they all seem to have channeled it in the right direction, at least for this night.
Well, the first 3 innings where all the runs are scored, it was an explosion.
Three and 1 to Bour. Real Muto on deck, and then Echeverria in the home 7th. And that misses low and in, ball 4. So Bour is on base for the 4th straight time. Second walk issued by Goodell, who had himself a bit of a slog through that 6th inning, but was able to survive it by snapping off a curveball to strike out Stanton, and now he's right back in trouble in the 7th. There's Real Muto, who's 1 for 3, had an infield hit to drive in a run in the 2nd. Mets 2 runs, 4 hits. The Marlins 7 runs, 13 hits. In the air to right, and Bruce coming over to the line. 1 out. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Danny Echeverria, who's 2 for 3 tonight, a double, a single. He's driven in 2. He's scored 1. The Marlins with a win tonight would move back to 500 for the season. They're your power pitchers of the week, brought to you by East Coast Power and Gas. Not a good night for Bartolo Colon. The bullpen has at least kept the Mets in contact in this game. But I'll tell you what, if every hard hit ball in this game by the Marlins had been a hit, it would be about 15-1.
They've centered more baseballs this evening than we've seen in quite some time.
Down the right field line, Duda can't find it. It's over the sidewall and out of play. I was going to say about the Marlins, if they win tonight, they get back to 500, and they also keep their extremely slim but still mathematically alive playoff hopes intact. They're 4.5 games behind the Giants for the 2nd wild card coming into the night. So if they win with the Giants off, they'd be 4 back with 6 games to play, which is awfully hard but not impossible. And what's kind of fascinating about all that, you know, they canceled their game yesterday with the Braves. If the Marlins were to win out and somehow get back to within a half game by the end of the year, they'd have to make that game up. I mean, it's far-fetched.
Yes.
It is mathematically possible.
What did I tell you guys before the game? I was thinking that if I had to pitch for the Mets in a game like tonight, I would hope that between the white lines I could find how to pitch and how to be effective. My second thought was this Marlins team is going to be in concentration mode like they've never been before. They're going to take some unbelievable at bats, especially early in the game, and that's kind of what happened.
Well, tomorrow Noah Syndergaard will make his return to the mound for the Mets. Tom Kohler will go for the Marlins. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Verizon Tuesday Night Baseball on SNY.
It's not a series against the Marlins unless Tom Kohler pitches one of the games.
He's pitched more games, I think, against the Mets the last 4 years than anybody else in baseball.
I think his 17th start will be tomorrow.
7th pitch of the at bat to Echeverria, and he lifts one to right center. Pretty well hit, but Bruce has room. And there are 2 out. 4 back to first. Well, let's go back to our Verizon trivia question. Don Mattingly finished 2nd in the voting for the 1986 AL MVP. Who won it? Roger Clemens.
Yeah, he won the Cy Young too.
Ichiro Suzuki announced into the game as a pinch hitter. Terry Collins is going to go to the mound and bring in a left-hander to face Ichiro. Josh Edgen will come into the game. So the Mets make a pitching change here in the 7th. 7-2 Miami. We'll be right back to Marlins Park. Josh Edgin in to face the pinch hitter Ichiro Suzuki.
Well, in limited work, Edgin's done his job against the left-handers, only batting .214 off him.
Ichiro now at 3,028 hits in his exalted big league career, 25th on the all-time list. Last man he passed was Lou Brock. The next man in front of him, Rod Carew, 25 hits away. And that doesn't even count Ichiro's career in Japan.
Right.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Yes. 3,000 hits, Gare. I think you get there. He's got quite the resume. I think when he lays the facts before the court, I think they'll give him the pass.
Aye, aye.
3,000 hits, 10 Gold Gloves.
Yes.
That's a nice slider by Edgin, 2-2.
How many years of 200 hits?
All-time single season hits record.
Quite an amazing performance.
262 hits, Keith. 262.
And 42 years old and still in great shape and may well play another year.
Yeah.
Or two.
He said he wants to keep playing. Why not?
Moore at first with 2 out. And Ichiro hits one out to left toward the gap, and that's going to get down for a hit. Cut off by Cespedes. Moore will go to third. Ichiro, after a hard turn, will go back to first. And so there's career hit number 3,029.
Goes right with it, belt high, stays level, just kind of semi slaps it out to left. And I think maybe 5 years ago, that's a stand-up double for Ichiro.
So now D. Gordon will come to bat. Gordon has been the emotional center of this night for the Marlins. A leadoff home run in the first inning that led to sobs and hugs. He's 4 for 4 tonight. His last 5-hit game came against the Mets last season. The Marlins have not had a 5-hit game this season.
You can see the way Ichiro hits. It's almost like Bryce Harper, but he stays level. Harper pulls away towards the first base dugout. Ichiro is the master of that.
Good cut by Gordon, 0-1.
Frankly, I can't see how it can be done, but it's just over 3,000 hits.
There's your proof.
Yep. I will not prosecute.
Well, he had great speed too, so those ground balls, the shortstop, when he first started, he would beat them out the first.
Ball, a strike to Gordon. Marcelo Ozuna would be next. Out to right field, and Bruce is there waiting for it. That retires the side. Gordon retired for the first time tonight. We go to the 8th. 7-2 Miami. Dee Gordon retired for the first time tonight.
I think that Cespedes probably saw the emotional home run with Dee Gordon, ran around those bases, lead the inning off with tears in his eyes.
So there's been a little bit of release, a little bit of therapeutic adrenaline that has led to tears, and maybe the smiles are starting to return.
That awful cloud has been lifted a little.
Cal Barraclough pitching the 8th inning for Miami.
Leads all NL relievers with those 110 punch outs.
Now he's wicked.
Curtis Granderson leading off in the 8th inning. And he lines one into center field for a base hit. So Granderson on base for the 2nd time tonight. That's only the 5th Met hit. Mets have had some chances to get back in this game.
Got a slider right down Broadway.
Mets had a couple of men on in the 3rd inning, didn't score. They got 2 runs, left a runner at second base in the 5th. They loaded the bases with 1 out in the 6th, didn't score. Now they've got the leadoff man on in the 8th. TJ Rivera the batter, and he pops one foul. Rivera's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Barraclough, the 8th Miami pitcher of this game. The starter Adam Conley, first start back from the disabled list, with 3 scoreless innings. Dunn, Ellington, Price, Cervenka, McGowan, and Phelps followed. Jim Henderson up in the Mets bullpen.
Well, that's what makes Barraclough so difficult to face. He can 95 plus, he can reach 97, 98, and just a wipeout slider. More of a slurve.
0-2 to TJ, and that breaking ball is in for a call, 3rd strike. That was nasty. 1 out.
Well, that's why we like this guy. He has got an arm. Oh, it stayed inside.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Jay Bruce, who's 0 for 3 tonight, but has hit 2 balls very hard. Ford tells his pitcher he's going to play behind Granderson, figuring he's not going anywhere in a 5-run game.
Barraclough's got those white shoes on.
Yeah, you see more and more players now that have gone to
the white shoes.
White shoes.
It's like being a Fred Astaire movie.
I don't know. It worked for Joe Namath.
I just saw Josh Donaldson yesterday. He has high top whites. They look like
look at that,
wrestling shoes.
You can go out in the snow and be camouflaged too.
If that's what you care to do.
Not here in Miami, you won't.
Not sure why foot camouflage is an important thing. 1-2 now to Bruce.
In the shades of Billy White Shoes Johnson, the old Oiler wide receiver. Houston Oilers back in those days. I miss the Houston Oilers.
One-two to Bruce, and that's hit toward the hole. Base hit. Granderson around second. He's going to go to third. So Jay Bruce with his first hit of the night, and now the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out.
Well, good signs for Jay here. They're playing him the pull. Guess what? Oh, there's a big avenue there. It's a boulevard. It's like Pennsylvania Avenue in D.C. Big hole there.
At the Champs-Élysées.
I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure of my French. I knew you were going to back me up.
Now Michael Conforto will bat for Travis d'Arnaud. That's down by 5. At first and third and 1 out in the 8th. And Conforto takes a strike. Michael came off the bench last night with a 2-run opposite field double after starting 2 straight games. Signs have certainly been pointing forward for Michael. Didn't get the start tonight against the lefty. And takes a slider for a strike, and it's 0-2. Lucas Duda waits on deck. And Conforto stops the swing and a ball in the dirt. 1-2. Did you tell me that Kyle Hendricks tonight lowered his ERA under 2?
6 shutout innings, 1.99 ERA.
Did he get a W or no?
I don't know about that.
They're up big.
Yeah, that should cement, I think, the side for him.
Well, John Lester didn't do badly last night. He's at 19 and 4, 2.28. It's close.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of votes spread, and
Scherzer will get votes too. Breaking ball down 2-2.
Mr. Fernandez will get some votes also.
That's true. It's not clear cut, let's put it that way. But Hendricks has been remarkable. 2-2 from Barraclough, and Conforto fouls off the fastball.
Well, in this day and age where we fall in love with the guys who throw 95 plus, it would just be poetic justice to see a guy who has to do it with a little, what do you say, Keith? A little dipsy do?
Oh yes, dipsy doodle if you want. Take it a step further.
Finesse, guile. 2-2 coming, and Conforto got a piece of that, and a piece of Real Muto.
That's twice Real Muto has gotten hit by a foul tip. He's a tough kid, great offensive year. His catching still coming around. He was a shortstop or infielder that they saw catch once, and they said they'd draft him if he became a catcher. I said, okay.
And Conforto goes down swinging as Barraclough beats him with a fastball. 2 men down.
Beat him up and in. This is really a good pitch.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by New York State Health Department. Talk with your doctor for help quitting smoking or call 1-866-NY-QUITS. By Nationwide, speak with Steve Dukoff in Bayside or Joseph DeMonda in Wantagh today. And by GMC, we are professional grade. Now Lucas Duda with 2 out and 2 on. Lucas came up with the bases loaded in the 6th inning and took a call third strike.
Ronnie, you can't put an up and in fastball in a better spot.
Just pure 97. There's no way for a left-hander to hit that pitch. It just ties him up.
And the fastball on the corner to Duda, and quickly it's 0-2.
Well, this Barraclough has gotten better as the year's gone along. He had a little bit of control issues in the beginning of the year, but those seem to have gone away.
Duda lines one the other way, a base hit. That'll bring in a run. Granderson scores. Bruce pulls in at second. So on an 0-2 pitch, Duda goes the other way, drives in a run. It's now 7-3 Miami.
Nice hitting, Lucas. He went right with that fastball away, belt high. Nice and level on that belt high. Oh, mid-thigh pitch. Beautiful hitting by Lucas. 0-2 count. You can't be swinging for the downs. You got a 2-strike hit. Well done.
So now 2 aboard with 2 down. Alejandro De Aza will bat for the pitcher. De Aza's last pinching assignment came on Saturday night. He flied out. That's now with 3 runs and 7 hits. And Barraclough misses away with a breaking ball, and it's 1-1. Mets need 1 more base runner to get the tying run to the plate in the 8th inning. Jose Reyes on deck. Bruce at second. Duda at first with 2 down. Game the Mets once trailed 7-0. And De Aza watches wide, 2-1.
Ironically, De Aza the only player in the Mets with the number 16 on.
It's a good call. All the Marlins wearing 16, and after tonight, no Marlin will ever again wear the number 16. 2-2 now to De Aza.
Boy, good cut there by Alejandro. Got one fastball to hit this at bat. I bet you he goes back to the slider now. That is his best pitch for Barraclough.
Well, he's not going to throw an 0-2 like he did in a fastball to Duda with that breaking ball. I think you're right, Ron. He's going to come.
2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to De Aza, and it's up and in with the fastball. Full count.
Tried to throw that pitch. He got Conforto on. Did not locate it.
Reyes on deck. Automatic start now for Bruce at second and Duda at first. A run home for the Mets here in the 8th. De Aza trying to keep the line moving. 3-2, 2 down. And the breaking ball in there. Strike 3 call. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Barraclough. 2 of them on that same pitch. He got Rivera looking. He got De Aza looking. Wow. Mets get a run on the Duda RBI single, but still trail 7-3 as we go to the bottom of the 8th in Miami. We provided local youth football leagues with grants, equipment donations, clinics, and special Dream Day experiences. See SNY's Play Ball program in action on Geico Sports Night tonight at 10:30, only on SNY. Kevin Plawecki comes in to catch as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Jim Henderson will pitch the 8th inning.
See the numbers for Henderson. First batter faced have not been good. Second half has not been kind after he hurt his arm earlier in the year.
Marcelo Zuna leading off in the 8th. He's hit 3 balls hard tonight. He's 1 for 4 to show for it. Henderson's last outing Saturday night, he worked an inning plus, allowed no runs and 2 hits. And it's up high, a ball and a strike. You know, the Mets were down 7-0. They pecked away, but they find themselves 4 runs in arrears with only 3 outs to work with. Like AJ Ramos is getting ready in the Marlins bullpen. He's taken back the closer's role from Fernando Rodney. Popped up, might stay in play for Duda, but it will not. Mets have used 6 pitchers tonight. They used only 3 yesterday. Robert Gazelman finally gave the Mets a performance where they could save the bullpen after Noah and Gilmartin had short outings the previous 2 nights. There's a little dribbler. Off the mound comes Henderson and throws out Ozuna one away. But another short outing tonight, this one by Bartolo Colon. SNY's NFL insider Ralph Vacchiano will have an in-depth breakdown of yesterday's Giants-Redskins game on the Giants Goal Line podcast, only on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Now Martin Prado, who's gone 0 for 4 tonight, and he's hit 3 balls hard.
He has.
If you go up and down the scorecard and look at the hard outs in this game, it's phenomenal. I mean, the Marlins have 14 hits and maybe 10 other hard hit balls that have turned into outs.
He hit a ball, remember, to deep left center. That's where home runs go to die. Granderson made the catch.
I think that's about all Prado had to that part of the ballpark. Takes a strike from Henderson. Tomorrow night, Noah Syndergaard will get the ball for the Mets. Tom Kohler for the Marlins. After tonight, only 5 games remain in the regular season. And whether the Mets win this game or not, it certainly looks as though it will be a productive night in the standings. The Reds now lead the Cardinals 15-2 in the 7th inning.
Ooh, shellacky.
So unless the Cardinals have an historic comeback in the offing, the Mets will at least stay a game and a half in front of St. Louis, with 5 games to play for the Mets and 6 for the Cardinals.
Best night for the Giants on their couch.
Yeah. If the Mets lose this game, the Giants would be a half game behind the Mets. Line the other way, but Bruce is there. Another hard hit ball by Prado, another out. So it goes.
Well, Prado got himself a nice 0 for 5 on this night. Hit the ball pretty good 3 times.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Christian Yelich in the 9th inning. The Mets will have the top of the batting order coming up. Reyes, Cabrera, Cespedes. Yelich is 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. An infield hit back in the 3rd. Marlins got a run in the 1st, 4 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd. All of that charged to Bartolo Colon. Mets bullpen has held the Marlins in check as the Mets have tried to climb the ladder, but there are many rungs to go. Off the corner, 2-0 to Yelich with Stanton on deck.
I mean, you don't know if the bullpen would have done this if you had taken Bartolo out earlier, but you might have had a closer score if they could have.
Pop foul. The Cleveland Indians are on the verge of clinching the American League Central. They lead the Tigers 7-4 in the bottom of the 9th, with Cody Allen on to try and save it. The Indians are 13-2 against Detroit this year, and they only have to beat them one more time to clinch the division.
13-2. Whoa, that's Detroit's season right there.
Yep. Well, they're 7 games behind.
That's right.
So if they'd even played 500 with them, it would be a whole different race. 2-2.
Well, especially for their wild card chances too, the Tigers.
Right. Well, they started out the day a game and a half behind Baltimore for that second wild card. What helps both the Orioles and the Tigers is Toronto lost tonight. They were beaten by the Yankees 7-5. Yankees scored 5 runs in the 9th to win that game. Yelich goes down swinging on the high fastball, and Henderson has himself a 1-2-3 bottom of the 8th. On to the 9th, top of the batting order coming up. Mets down 7-3. Defense at first base, and A.J. Ramos in a non-save situation will try and close it.
Well, started out as their closer, kind of lost the job. He had broke one of the fingers on his hand or knuckle on his right hand, pitching hand. But now the closer again.
Jose Reyes 1 for 4 tonight. Had an infield hit back in the third. Reyes, Cabrera, and Cespedes as the Mets try and fight from behind in the ninth. One and one to Reyes. Tonight they are all Jose Fernandez.
Yeah. Well, we've seen so much emotion and energy from these Marlins in the beginning of the game when they scored 7 in the first 3 innings. Then it kind of leveled off as they, played baseball for a couple of hours. But boy, I think it's going to come back again here if they're able to hold on.
Reyes pops it up. Echeverria there to grab it. 1 out. Well, they're all up there on the railing, waiting to celebrate in whatever fashion they do. It's over in Detroit. The Indians beat the Tigers 7-4. The Indians win the American League Central, leaving only one division left to be decided. That's the AL East, and the Red Sox magic number is 1 with Toronto's loss tonight. Curveball from Ramos misses. Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night. We'll have all the baseball news, the football, and play ball week. Geico Sports Night after the post game, right here on SNY. Cabrera 2 for 3 and a walk tonight. He drove in the first 2 Met runs with a double in the 5th. The other run coming on a Lucas Duda RBI single in the 8th. Mets have left 9 runners on base.
So are the Indians celebrating on the Tigers turf? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, after going 14-2 against Detroit this year.
We're rubbing salt into the wound,
I'll say.
So that pushes the Tigers 2 games in back of the Orioles for that second wild card in the American League. So it's doubly painful for them. Two and 1 to Cabrera, and it's outside. 3-1. Cespedes on deck. And Cabrera rolls over one. It goes foul. 3-2. And there's ball 4, and Cabrera's on base for the 4th time tonight.
Just do not understand the pitch calling. 3-1 changeup, 3-2 breaking
Big
ball.
lead.
They're leading by 4. I mean, who's allowing this to happen?
Ron, I told Gary yesterday I was going to write my congressman. He told me.
So that's 6 walks issued by Miami pitchers tonight. And now Cespedes has gone 0 for 4. Well, I'll say to you what I said to Keith the other night. It's because in the macro world of statistical analysis, every out and every pitch is like every other pitch, as opposed to the game, which is supposed to be played situationally. That's part of the problem.
Well, part of the problem is that after this game's over, a pitching coach wouldn't get you in the back room and talk to you for about 15 minutes and scream and yell at you for your pitch selection. It wouldn't go unnoticed.
Probably get it from your veteran catcher too.
Yeah. Well, the veteran catcher would shake you off.
Cespedes pops it up near the mound, and Prado will handle it. 2 out. And so the Mets, who very firmly have been the party of the other part tonight, are down to their final out. This was the Marlins' night, and they have one more out to get.
Well, the Mets have, in my estimation, played hard, have had their chances, but just too big of a deficit early in the game.
Here's Granderson, 1 for 3 and a walk tonight.
It's the 4th time this year that the Miami Marlins have used 9 pitchers in a game.
Runner goes. Cabrera takes second on defensive indifference as Granderson takes a strike. One and 1 to Curtis. And the off-speed pitch misses. 2 and 1. Mike Dunn was the first of the 8 Miami relievers. He'll be credited with a win if the Marlins hang on. Bartolo Colon got smacked around for 2 1/3. He's on the hook. And Granderson swings over the changeup, and it's 2 and 2. The Mets are down to their final strike. Granderson pulls it down to first. Rojas makes the play to Ramos. And on the night when the Marlins play their first game after the untimely death of their star right-hander Jose Fernandez on an emotion-laden night, the Marlins channeled that emotion into a victory as they beat the Mets 7-3.
Well, we've had a lot of memorable games here in this booth for the Mets. This is a game that we'll never forget as Stanton turns his jersey inside or back to front, so the name Fernandez is seen to all.
But we didn't know how this game was going to shake out for the Marlins. All the emotion, the tears, the wonderful, touching ceremony pregame, and they came out of the chute and scored 7 runs quick.
Have chosen to leave the game ball on the mound near the number 16 in tribute to their fallen pitcher. And I think they're all going to gather around that mound for one more tribute, and it's great to see the Met players watching this. This is a singular moment.
All ball players love to be great. You love the applause when you have a great night. The Marlins going to give Jose in absentia his last round of one.
Ritual in grieving is of enormous importance in any realm. There's no playbook for this. I've heard that said many times in the last 36 hours. The Marlins are writing their own script, and this is their way of paying final tribute. So ends a night of enormous emotion for the Miami Marlins. Overwhelming in their grief. Impressive tonight in the way they channeled their emotions into performance, and incredibly touching in the way they laid their hats on the pitching rubber where Jose Fernandez achieved such incredible success here at Marlins Park. What a night this has been.
Well, you know, it started with a moment of silence, and when the players gathered around the mound to pay their final tribute, it ended with a moment of silence for this crowd. And ball players don't have wreaths, they don't have flowers. Ball caps will do.
I was touched with the very end with the circle around the mound, and you know, the old American Indians and their spirituality. It was the circle of life, and I thought that was very, very symbolic. I was very touched by that.
It was a night of catharsis in many ways for the Miami Marlins. It's only been a couple of, not even 2 days, a day and a half since they found out that Jose Fernandez was gone. And they handled this, I would say, about as remarkably as a group of young men possibly could. And congratulations to them, and our condolences and our heartfelt wishes to them as they continue in the grieving process. New York Mets baseball on SNY has been brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer sponsor of the New York Mets. This Bud's for you. By Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better with Time Warner Cable. Call 1-855-WANT-TWC today. By your local Chevy dealers who are proud to support the Mets on their drive to the wild card. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. And by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. There's your game summary brought to you by Tri-State GMC. Not a good night for Bartolo Colon. The Mets had to fight uphill all night. They come up short. D. Gordon with a big night. Justin Bour with a big night as the Marlins get back to 500 and keep their mathematical hopes alive for a wild card as they win 7-3. Tomorrow night, game 2 of the series. Noah Syndergaard goes for the Mets against Tom Kohler. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night on SNY. Coming up in just a few moments, it'll be Gary Apple and Nelson Figueroa with WB Mason post-game live. And as Keith and Ron and I say goodbye, let's take you back to the seminal moment in this emotional night. D. Gordon's at bat in the first inning. Well, D. Gordon just took the first pitch as a right-hand batter. And in tribute to Jose Fernandez, who was a right-hand hitter and a very good hitting pitcher, he took the first pitch of the game as a right-hand batter. He cracks one to deep right field. Back goes Bruce to the track, looks up, and that ball is out of here into the second deck. The first home run of the season for D. Gordon. I don't care who you are, who you root for, or how badly you want the Mets to be in the postseason. That was phenomenal.